What is up, guys? We are live with our WrestleMania 40 review show. I'm your host, Hunter Chambliss. I'm joined by my co-host, Ryan Payne. How's it going, man?
Going very well. It's been one hell of a weekend. And I'll say this is one way to close it out.
I definitely agree with that. Yeah, we had a huge weekend of wrestling, not only in WWE, but Ring of Honor held their Supercard of Honor, which was
Yep.
a very, very fantastic show.
It was
Then of course we had Stand and Deliver, which I thought was a very much delivered, especially that three-way match with Dijak. What am I forgetting the champion's name?
Obi Fair, Obi Fair.
Femi.
Obi Femi, yes.
And Josh Briggs. I thought that was a really hard-hitting, heavy match. And then we have, of course, the 2 nights of WrestleMania, which we're starting right here with night 1. So Ryan, I'm super excited to get into this. Let's start off with our opening contest, but before that, we did have some very great entrances by both Rhea Ripley and Becky Lynch for our Women's World Championship match. Becky coming out with kind of excerpts from her novel read by her over a microphone. I thought that was a really cool way to kind of tie in her book being out now with her kind of her story going forward of like her growth. But man, I loved Rhea's entrance as a big metal fan and a fan of Motionless in White. Seeing them come out and play Rhea's song out to her, and especially Rhea getting into it and really singing along with it and things like that, she was made to look like a fucking mega star tonight.
Yeah, I definitely do like. I mean, I do appreciate. That's one thing I do appreciate when they do have artists there to sing the song that's meant for the wrestler. And yeah, it was really a great moment for Rhea to come out there. She's had a couple good moments at WrestleMania, but yeah, I will say this one definitely is her moment, especially with the changes she's gone through throughout her time on the main roster.
I love Pat McAfee on commentary trying to figure out who this band is.
Oh yeah,
Corey Graves having to go, yes, it's Motionless in White. And my favorite line of that night was he goes, led by Chris Motionless, and Pat goes, that's his last name? It's so
that definitely was a good comedic color commentary for both nights. So that's one thing for sure. Pat, he didn't overtake everything. He didn't overtake much of the commentary like he normally does on Raw or when he's on SmackDown. So this was very good.
I really love Pat McAfee on commentary. I think him and Michael Cole have such great chemistry out there because you can tell that they're both just having fun. Yes. And they're actually allowed to like show emotion and joke around and kind of break the fourth wall. I'm really glad that Triple H is allowing the commentary team to kind of show personality, and it's not like when Vince was running it where you had to get everything down tight like a robot. He's actually letting them
the constant micromanaging. Yeah, like Samoa Joe in reference. Like when he was on commentary, I love in the interviews where he'd say, "Oh, Vince is telling me, oh, I gotta talk like this, I gotta sound like this," and Joe's just like, "Come on, man."
Yeah.
I know what I'm doing.
So to get into the actual match, I have a recap brought up on my phone so I can go through kind of the great spots in here. It was a really back and forth match. Rhea used an arm drag from the top rope and a tornado DDT from the middle rope. And it says right here, shades of her boyfriend, Buddy Matthews, which, yes, that was a kind of a shout out to Buddy, which I appreciate that. You have Lynch countering Ripley's finisher with one of her own. Lynch's manhandle slam for the first near fall of the match. Both superstars went back and forth. Lynch transitioned from a suplex from the top rope into an armbar, which I thought was very fucking cool. Also, maybe a shout out to Seth Rollins when he does the suplex into the Falcon Arrow, except she did the suplex into an armbar, which I thought was a really great transition. And then Lynch tries to do a manhandle slam from the top rope. Ripley counters with a riptide to the turnbuckle, and then a riptide for the win. She retains her championship at 369 days. So thoughts on this match?
Well, this really was a good technical match, honestly. I know. I saw. I know this was never. When it comes to Rhea, he honestly, I've been back and forth with her regarding her reign, the kind of match she gets. At least with this one, this was different in a way. We see Ripley coming in extra confident as you see, not just because she had the belief she was going to walk out as champion, but because she felt that she was going to run over Becky. And at least, and we do see in this match, she does show that in certain spots. But every time Becky had countered the Riptide, we do see there was at least moments in Rhea's face where she was really getting worried, especially when Becky was solely focusing on her left arm. That's one thing I liked in that match. The storytelling they're showing, Becky no, she can't outpower or outstrength or beat Rhea in a test of strength. So she's gonna do the technical thing and at least weaken her down, which is what I liked about her targeting the left arm. And it did pay for the multiple times she was able to reverse the Riptide. Now,
Mhm.
one negative criticism I do have is that I have not seen Becky. I think one thing with Becky is she has not been doing a lot of submission finishes like she used to before she
Mhm.
was turned heel a second time by Vince. When and I think that was definitely a critical weakness because the disarmer, it really looked like it was didn't even look like it was a dangerous move, honestly. The armbar, the meaning of the front armbar she was doing, that looked more dangerous than her doing the disarmer. And even though some people will be like, oh no, she's just sitting down on her knees while wrenching an arm while the person's face down. Yeah, in a different direction, which is why it hurts. But
Mhm.
the problem was that it just was not pulled off. It wasn't executed well that way. And I know it was a spot for Rhea to power herself out of, which is fine, but I think I wanted Rhea to at least be flat on her stomach for a few minutes trying to sell how much it hurts. So then when she powered out, it was going to be like almost like a bit of desperation, you know.
Mhm. Yeah, I definitely get that. Oh, are you in an echo?
No, I'm not hearing echo. Are you?
I was, but not anymore. That's weird.
I mean, I mean, honestly, my siblings are here, so sometimes my brother will shout like crazy. So if you do hear extra noise, that might be coming from him.
Oh, okay. But yeah, I actually really enjoyed this match. I do agree with your point on, for some reason it seems like Becky Lynch, and I don't know if this was her call, if this was, Vince's
Well, I
call,
mean,
if it was
one
Triple
thing
H's
we have been.
call,
Oh, sorry for interrupting. Keep going. Sorry.
but if this was her call, I can kind of see why it would be her call. I mean, she is getting kind of up in age, and she wants to do something where it's a move that she can hit without having to kind of maneuver herself around a submission hold.
Mm-hmm.
And that would also pigeonhole her into being just a submission specialist. So I can kind of see that. But if it was like a Triple H call, I don't know why they would have her go with a non-submission move if she still wants to do a technician style, like have a technician base style.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was agreeing with you in the most parts of it. It was
Mhm.
just that, yeah. I mean, well, the thing is, the manhandle slam, I don't mind that because when she was a heel, it kind of worked for her. It worked for her
Mhm.
when she was big time Bex. It put a new add to her flavor, and the disarmer was well, even when she was a heel in NXT, the disarmer was her thing. But the one thing I
Mhm.
liked about the disarmer was is that this was Becky, like at least when she's wrenching the arm back in a technician mindset. That is you putting so much pressure on your opponent, you're making them not think about how they can get out of the move, but more like in certain matches when she was against when she was against Mercedes when she was with the company, or
Mhm.
when she was champion with against when she had her matches against Natalia or against with the recently like now I don't know, retired or just fired Lacey Evans, and with Bailey and with Charlotte, that was kind of used in a way to put your opponent in a mental state to where you're not thinking about, oh, I can roll away. It's the fact that Becky keeps wrenching on the arm. But also, like I said, that could have been just a spot there just for Rhea to power out from. So that could have been a producer like putting that there.
Mhm.
It didn't take away anything for me. It was just like for
Yeah.
the longest time that has been in a way her ace in the hole, and to see that more time should have been dedicated to that spot. I'm not saying, oh, every other spot needed to be rushed, but I'm just going like, with the whole point, the commentary kept saying how Becky kept targeting her left arm. The two times she's done the front armbar cross lock. I'm just saying the moment she did that, kind of like what Rhea just did with the prism lock. You know, those two times
Mhm.
Becky goes for the rope, she pulls back, and then Becky
That
finally,
prism lock into the Kurt Angle vice grip was fucking
yeah.
awesome.
See, that's what I kind of wanted. I wanted a moment like that where Rhea
Mhm.
is trying to first she tries to wiggle her way out, maybe sees the back rope behind her, so she tries to use her foot. So then Becky decides to drag her to the ring, do the disarmer again, but this time sit completely down in a
Mhm.
way to where Rhea is so focused on her upper strength. And then that happened. But because it was rushed real quickly, it took me out a little bit, but it was still a bit of a. It was still a good back and forth between the two of them. And I did say in our predictions, I wanted Becky to win, mainly for the change, just to give Ripley, because the thing with Ripley's character, I do like her. I do like her character. It's just I am not. Maybe it's just a me thing, but I'm really not sold on the mommy thing. Honestly, that just felt to me
I
like
am.
I know, but the problem was is that the way it's sold is that it's to me it felt like it was sold as kind of like a schoolyard bully kind of thing, and I never and maybe I just associate Ripley towards the bully aspect, especially how she was when she's with Judgment Day and Dom.
Mhm.
So I guess I just had a hard time separating Rhea Ripley when she's wrestling on her own outside the Judgment Day and when she is truly connected with the Judgment Day. But you know, that's just execution kind of thing. If this
Yeah,
is meant,
the one thing I do love about Rhea Ripley's title reign, and yes, you can say she hasn't defended it as often. I agree with that, but she never needed help. Every one of her title defenses she's done by herself. She's never had Judgment Day come out. I don't. I don't think.
there's Raquel Gonzalez the couple times. Dom was there as a distraction. She faced Raquel
Oh.
3 times. Rodriguez, sorry, not Gonzalez. It's NXT. But even her three title matches against Raquel. First 2 times was Dom getting involved. And,
I forgot about that.
but here's the thing with long title reigns, I don't care if they're not defending it that much, but when they do defend it, it has to be like you need to give it that big match feel. Like
Hmm.
with Gunther, every time he defended his championship, it felt like a big match fight. That's the thing with most of these title matches, and we've done the long running joke with Roman. He always needs help to win.
Hmm.
Um, and even so with Rhea, I'm not saying she needs help to win. She really doesn't. It's just that some of the matches, some of the opponents they gave her, I guess they were just having a hard time trying to determine what kind of match they wanted to book while trying to make it competitive, while making Rhea look strong, but then at the same time making the opponent feel like the threat. And I think certain issues is that almost every time it was trying to be like Rhea dominates instead of just more of Rhea's finding an opponent she's not used to, so she needs to find new ways to win, you know?
Hmm. Yeah,
And if
but
that,
overall,
at least to me, that would have sold me on her long title reign because this is showing a Rhea who's not just using her power, she's also using her brain to win.
yeah, I get that. But I also feel like with Rhea retaining, you have a lot more story options you can go with. Like I feel like Rhea versus Liv is going to be a really good feud because they have history going back to when Rhea injured Liv and took her, off the shelf for a little while. You can bring
Yes.
that back up. You've got a lot more faces in the women's division than you do heels, and I think Rhea will work on Raw with that kind of over looming dark presence.
Yeah. And look, I knew, yeah, Becky, because earlier on back, when we were both talking about Royal Rumble, like if
Mhm.
Becky wasn't the one to win, even when Becky didn't win, I'm like, maybe I could see Liv and Rhea at WrestleMania. But when Becky was
Mhm.
made the choice, I'm like, it does make sense because she is one of the top stars. She hasn't challenged the championship in a year and a half.
Mhm.
Problem was is just all this constant social media backlash from those loud, like non-yelling fans, where they're like this
I get it.
constant comparisons. Where I'm going, you guys are undercutting this match. So yes, if you want Rhea to win, then watch the story unfold, not backseat drive while it's happening. But Rhea won. She is champion, and if there is a game plan to have this big match set up, this story ending feud between her and Liv, I'll definitely keep an open mind and see where this goes. It's just I hate it when you got those fickle fans out there that's saying they want new blood, but then they also still want to see top stars. And the problem is that they're treating everything like a one road or another. The point, like I said, even to you,
Yep.
with wrestling is that we should have more options out there, not just have one thing here,
Mm-hmm.
because it can easily get stale and boring and tired. Clearly we have so many examples to choose this from that I think people are so focused on
Oh
the
yeah.
future instead of focusing on the now aspect of what's happening right now.
Mm-hmm. Love the tangent you go on, man. I love them.
Well, I'm learning to dial them back to be more focused on what I want, what I am saying instead of what I'm trying to say,
Mm-hmm.
because that leads to so much
So
confusion.
out of 5 stars, what would you give this match?
I'll give this a 4-star match.
I would say, yeah, a 4 star seems fair. It's a great opener for night 1 of Mania.
Yeah,
All
yeah. If they
right,
couldn't
let's
make
move
it,
on.
then being the opener works.
Exactly. So let's move on to our next match, which is the 6-pack tag and the undisputed tag team championships. We've got DIY versus Awesome Truth versus New Catch Republic versus Austin Theory and Grayson Waller versus the New Day versus the Judgment Day. So again, I've got like a little kind of notes here.
Yeah.
Because this match was full of spots. I love Tyler Bate picking up Finn Balor with the ladder and then just spinning him. And they did the ECW spot with the ladder where they go around and they hit each other with the ladders.
Yes, that's always a nice, good spot in a ladder match.
R-Truth hitting the 5 moves of doom was amazing. And then
Not just
trying
that, but then treating it as if it was a tag match and you're trying to get tagged in by the Miz.
he's the hot tag, and then the pin. He tries to go for the pin. I love it so much. Yeah, so he gets an AA to Balor through a ladder and tries to pin him, even though it's a ladder match.
Yeah.
So
And I
good.
did love that moment when Miz tells him and then DIY shows up. I love it. Truth is like going, you know what? We don't need both. You guys can get one. We'll get one set
Look at
there.
the other.
And I would have loved it if that's how the match ended. Like both of them got a different both of them got the belts and they both got that moment in the sun. But you know what? Even if that didn't happen, I did love that. It shows it shows like it's not a winner takes all kind of situation. There's 2 sets of title belts. So it's kind of a good way. And also, it didn't end in the whole Miz and Truth having to brawl with DIY. It's like, look, literally we're right there using logic.
Yeah. You go with one, I go for the other.
Exactly.
But yeah, and then it says Waller and Theory took advantage of the distraction and grabbed the SmackDown Tag Team titles. So A-Town Down Under are your SmackDown Tag Team champions. I'm actually excited for this. I know a lot of people are not, but if you want to treat SmackDown with like as the new stars show, where you've got people like Waller, like Theory, like all them, that's a good way to start your tag division off with someone of the future. That way you can build onto them as going forward. And they're such an entertaining tag team that I feel like they could make the titles work on SmackDown.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that Austin Theory for a long... What?
No, go ahead. I didn't say
Am I
anything.
coming on a delay for you? Am I coming on a delay?
Not anymore, but you are.
Okay, it might be going half in and half out for me. I'll be quick. I was gonna add on with A-Town Down Under winning. It definitely works because Austin Theory, after his last time in WrestleMania, like clearly it did not work setting him up like as a new top star, him beating Cena. And then of course we do see exactly what happens to him like later in the half of last year So him with Grayson Waller as kind of this heelish comedic team works because it's really saying these two young guys can be a great at least found a little start for the new SmackDown tag titles for a couple months, and then they can play it on a team that can really run with those belts, but still like not dissolve. And right now it's kind of like you have a good heel team to start off with, and then maybe we'll switch it up with giving it to a babyface team, or maybe another heel team will take the belts. I think that's kind of they were the smart choice, honestly.
Yeah, so some more spots from here. I fucking popped huge for that one last shot from Gargano to Dunn on the outside through the table.
Yeah.
God damn, Pete Dunne took that spot stiff.
Wait, it's called the one last shot? I thought it was called the one final beat.
One final beat, I'm sorry.
Oh. Okay. No, I mean, no, you don't need to apologize. I mean, so many moves, sometimes finishers get name changed. And hey, I haven't been following WWE since like WrestleMania 37. I mean, I watched like sporadically, but honestly, my attention went to other wrestling companies after that because I just got sick and tired
the slingshot DDT
yes, the one
Gargano
final beat.
does.
That's it. One final beat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But that was a very good spot. And then I'm trying to remember who. Oh no, yeah, when Grayson Waller got the belts. Oh my god, I loved it. That power bomb, and he had both the belts on. Well, he had one of the belts on him when he got power bomb, which was hilarious.
Yep, that was great. And it says, when it looked like Truth was finally getting his WrestleMania moment with no one else in sight, JD Madonna comes from the back to cost the match. Dude, JD took a fucking table spot.
Yeah.
I was scared for him for a minute.
I mean, it's kind of a good thing there is no cameras on that side when they crash through, because honestly, that looked like his shoulder. I mean, from when he fell, almost looked like his shoulder hit the floor first before he hit the tables.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one thing with those little spots that happen. No matter how well you try to time it, like maybe try to just lean, just like fall in with the ladder so you still some space. There's still gonna be moments where your body doesn't hit, like the body part you want doesn't hit the table or hit the crash pad. So it's always those spots are always a little scary.
Yeah, so that one was New Day kind of moving the ladder a little bit towards the ropes, and then they tipped it over, and JD fell through the tables. Then Priest seemed like he was going to retain for the group. Truth comes back, does an AA on the Money in the Bank winner over the top rope. So he lands on the outside, and R-Truth grabs both of the Raw belts, and Awesome Truth win the Raw tag team titles, and the fans go crazy.
One thing I'm going to bring up on most occasions throughout this is I like the fact that how Michael Cole, when he brings up history moments, they do feel a little organic. Like this is the first WrestleMania that Truth has actually been a part of. Which, I mean, some people may go, well, what about the Battle Royals? And I'm going like, well, I mean, I don't know. I haven't really watched. I mean, unless they're counted as pre-show, which some people have said pre-show doesn't count as WrestleMania. But beyond that, but beyond that, like that is a great moment for Truth to have. That's like sure, it's not like him winning a Money in the Bank or a singles belt in the ladder match, but even then, like a great moment for him to capulate. And honestly, this is like one of the first real times I've seen Miz being sold as a babyface,
and it actually working.
Yeah. Not just working, but I think there's some staying power to this as well. Not like his last time as a babyface when it was him and Shane as tag champs, but I feel like this time it will work because him and Truth are very good together.
Mm-hmm. But also, I feel like because Miz is kind of playing the straight guy to Truth's kind of antics, and even he in like I was watching the post
the interviews. Yeah.
And even Miz was like, dude, why did you go for the pin in a ladder match? Truth goes, I don't know, but the fans were behind it. He goes, yeah, the fans definitely thought you won.
which is
So you can
fantastic.
tell that Miz is having such a good time that comes across on screen as a good time.
That's one of the things I like when wrestling really is like wrestlers are able to let personality come out a little bit in their
Mhm.
characters. I mean, Truth really has molded it very, very well.
Yeah.
But even then, like one of the things that like every now and then you'll come across either an article or people with video essays on wrestlers where they go wrestlers who can never be baby faces. And most of the time I've always seen the Miz kid is never portrayed as a good baby face. The problem is that there was never a good story behind him, and
Mhm.
everyone like say, "Oh, he's so good at being the punchable dude." But if people have seen Miz and Maurice, and no, Mr. and Mrs. Miss, whatever. I forgot the name of the reality show. And
Uh, Miz. Oh yeah, I forgot the name of the show too.
no, that's fine. I don't want to spend too much time on it. But like I said, if
Miz
you've
and
seen
Mrs. I think is what it's called.
I think Ms. and Mrs. Yeah, Ms. and Mrs. If you've seen the reality show, or even if you've seen the small moments he has as a babyface, like that time he was partners with Shane, or that time when he challenged Gunther, you do see
That was
that
a really good, a really good story with Gunther, by the way.
exactly. Miz can be a good babyface. Hell, even people like to go back to that little moment he shoots on Bryan Danielson. Even then, that is also a good moment for him to be a babyface. But because he's a
Mhm.
heel, it's gonna be like it gives him. I mean, I get it. Some people can't see other wrestlers as faces, but for me, for the longest time, I'm like, if a wrestler's given a good angle and they're able to really put their whole body, their whole heart and soul into it, they can come off as either a heel or a face or easily dip between both of them.
Mhm.
It's one of the reasons why MJF is so good as a wrestler. You hate his guts as a heel, but all it takes for him is to cut a promo and you're immediately on his side. I mean, that's
Yep.
how you see with wrestlers.
Exactly. Um, by the way, let's talk about the fact that they're actually splitting up the tag belts, and I am
Yeah,
so excited that they're doing this. You've got enough tag teams right now for both brands that would make it viable for two tag belts.
I would say that. I mean, I still think that there's maybe. I mean, most of the time it's kind of hard to tell when there's enough tag teams,
Mhm.
especially when they're not being heavily showed on television. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, I always thought that there was more teams on Raw than there was on SmackDown, honestly. So, if that's not the case, I mean, we're gonna be on the Raw. This is gonna be we're now in post WrestleMania, so
Hmm.
who knows exactly what we're gonna get? Are we gonna see more? Is Triple H gonna start bleeding some NXT wrestlers onto SmackDown and Raw? Not officially on the roster, but just to be like they're still not ready for them. They're not. They're still officially
Kind of like
not.
they're doing with Carmelo Hayes.
Yeah, and Braun Breaker. Yeah,
Hmm. So I was thinking about that, and if you really look at it, you got the six teams right here. That's three teams apiece on each brand. Then you've
yes,
got you got the Street Profits. You've
yes.
got AOP.
Hmm.
That's another team. That's four teams on each brand. Then
Actually,
you've got.
they're specifically on SmackDown, so then that's already like five teams on
Well,
SmackDown.
can you see me?
Yes, I can see you.
Well, I mean, if you wanted to keep the Profits on SmackDown and then bring AOP over to Raw, you could do that in the draft.
I think I kind of want to hold. Honestly, I hope they don't do a draft so quickly. I kind of want them to hold out maybe until June or July for the draft.
That's fair. I would probably do it after Backlash because the time they did the draft before Backlash, you kind of screwed up a lot of stories
Yeah,
last year.
yeah. That's
But
also especially when they did the whole especially when the opposite belts for the women's division were on different brands.
yep.
That's one. That's actually just a little pivot back to the Rhea thing. That's kind of one thing with Rhea. I was hoping would happen with her. Like maybe when she challenged Zelina at Backlash when they were in Puerto Rico, I'm like, you just have Zelina win that, have Rhea lose the title, give her an edge to her character to be like to really put her on a dominant path because she doesn't want to lose again. Would have been 100% behind that because I've already said this to you in chats. I've said this to so many friends. I'm soured on long title reigns. that are just
I feel that.
long for no reason, honestly.
Mm.
I mean, it's not
But
like boxing. It's not. I mean, it's not like any. It's not like baseball, football, or soccer where a team
mm,
wins a championship and then that's it. No, just like boxing, mixed martial arts, UFC, kickboxing, judo, you're constantly having to defend it. So it's kind of like really do need to set things up to where the story needs to work. But back off my tangent, back into this. I think with was playing of the teams, but now that I'm thinking about it, there are more teams available on SmackDown because then you got LWO, you got Legado del
Growth
Fantasma.
Elvis Asthma.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's Raw that has the less amount of teams. Now I'm thinking about it.
But I'm saying, like, if you wanted to, like, go into Backlash after Backlash, if you
Mm-hmm.
wanted to do, say, LWO gets drafted to Raw and Legado gets sent to SmackDown, you could easily have 5 to 6 teams on each show.
Yeah.
And that would be enough for a good division. And then you have the NXT call-ups. If you bring up a team from NXT and have them join the brands, you've got enough tag teams now that are actually established that 2 belts will work.
All right. I think we should move on from this because I don't want to keep.
Yeah.
I think we should not be spending 15 minutes on each. I mean, it's good time
That's
though.
fair.
If we're doing both nights, then it's like we definitely need to keep moving.
Yeah, so let's move on to our next
All
match,
right.
which is Rey Mysterio and surprisingly Andrade taking on Dominic Mysterio and Santos Escobar. I'm kind of surprised they took Dragon Lee out of here and put in Andrade.
I'm kind of curious about that as well. Was there an issue with Dragon Lee to where he couldn't be able to go? And I think Andrade is a good choice though,
Mm-hmm.
especially after what they just did with. I mean, the fact that Andrade did that swerve on SmackDown, it definitely did tells me that he's being added into this match or he's going to be a factor. But I think him and Ray together, it works. They work well. And Andrade, he is a seasoned veteran
Mm-hmm.
where he can.
And the fact that Andrade and Ray have such great history with each other, getting back to the U.S. title feud.
Him, Ray, and Zelina as well, like great fantastic work. But I mean, I don't see this as Andrade being added into the LWO, but just him doing a favor because he is specifically on Raw. So that is something that could be like, I'm going to help you out here because of our shared history.
Yeah. So not a lot of big moments in this match. But Joaquin Wilde got a huge WrestleMania moment. That LWO middle rope.
Yeah, that's super
incredible. I love when he does that.
And then when he was on, I read on Instagram after night 1 that he talked about he had a wrestling match where he thought his career was over, like he almost died and thought his career was done. And now years later, he has that WrestleMania moment.
That's awesome.
That is something like that to where I am so glad that these wrestlers are able to have their moments, even if they're not in a match. Just doing something like that on a grand stage in front of thousands of people is fantastic. And it's one of the reasons why I never try to give all these wrestlers too much shit, because we've seen so many times how a spot can go wrong, or they're trying to, they got time constraints on them to where they have to sell something, or a wrestler may not be in the spot they want to be at, but if they stick things out and try not to be all 100%, I mean, sometimes they gotta take risks and make a change, which I'm definitely behind. But you do see in wrestling that when wrestlers do get their moments, it's like, there it is, it's cemented. And I'm pretty sure, I'm hoping that moment that Joaquin had is going to be in future B-roll footage for WrestleMania moving forward.
Oh, I hope so.
And not just that, but that the double cross body that Ray and
the stacked cross body was insane.
And that was also timed very well, the way it was done. And you do see that, like, I think that's kind of one of the reasons why Andrade was brought into this, because of his experience and the fact that he and Ray can be able to pull up a spot just like that.
Yeah. And like Andrade always has the best spinning back elbow. The one he hit on night 1 on Santos right before this the duo spot was insanely, like, you heard that. But back to Joaquin Wilde for a minute. So glad that he's getting this type of moment. because if you remember who he was on the independent scene in TNA, that's where I
DJZ.
first saw him. DJZ, Zema Ion. I remember watching him, back in like 2012, 2013 when he was
Yeah,
doing the fucking TNA gut check shit.
yeah,
Like, so it's so cool to see someone that you kind of follow through their whole career is now doing, big shit like this, and it's awesome.
yeah, which is fantastic. I will admit though, I really thought in our predictions that this one was going to go to Dominic and Santos, but then and the way the match was going, I'm like, yeah, they're going to find that moment. But then Dominic gets jumped by two men in luchador masks, and then
I
they
love
froze.
Pat McAfee saying those are the two largest luchadors I have ever seen.
But then I'm like, wait, I'm just like, okay. When I saw that happen, I'm going, there's no way in hell Dom's gonna win this. And I even remember, I think I saw in some speculation online, people were thinking that Carlito was gonna turn on
I
Ray on
did.
this night. And I'm like, yeah, that's not gonna happen now because they got these two men that just did this favor for Ray and Andrade, and of course it's the tailback and linebacker of the
Yeah,
Philadelphia.
so it's the two Philadelphia Eagles legends, Jason Kelsey and Lane Johnson. I knew who Jason Kelsey was just because I seen him in like fucking Last Meals. That's mostly all I know about him. I'm not a big NFL guy. I had no idea who Lane Johnson was. So,
but that was very interesting though. They get the win, which is fantastic. And man, that jump Jason Kelsey just did into the ring. Wow. Okay, he got the hops. But
yeah,
it was a good celebratory moment, and it's a good feel good moment too. I mean, so far, fans had that feel good moment with Rhea, R-Truth with that feel good moment, and now with Ray and Andrade. And I think afterwards, I saw someone post on Instagram saying that this could be a tradition to where Dominic tries to challenge Ray at WrestleMania and Ray beats his ass until the only way Dom can win is that if Ray has a retirement match, and that's how Dom gets the final victory over Ray.
Wouldn't it be funny if even in Ray's retirement match he just wins?
That would be hilarious because then it would actually work more into Dom's character to where he calls his dad a deadbeat, but no matter what, when he steps up, he constantly keeps getting knocked back down.
I'm sorry, but I think at this point Dominic should stop being a part of Judgment Day and just make him a part of Legado. Like, have him be like the side
Council,
like,
or
like
right
right beside Santos. I think them working together with Legado would be fucking awesome. His style doesn't work for me in Judgment Day.
Santos, personally. Oh, I'm sorry. You said what about style?
Dom's style just doesn't work for me in Judgment Day. Like, Finn's got it, Priest has it, Reyes definitely has the look and aesthetic, and the Dom is kind of just there. He's like an outlier.
Yeah, the thing was, his thing made sense when they were trying to turn him from Ray. But yeah, that's what I was thinking. Over time, I mean, I was never really seeing much out of Dom, and when he and Ripley were paired together, they tried everything. They were trying. That's why the one thing the mommy didn't work for me, because it literally felt to me like they were trying to redo the Eddie Guerrero and China thing, where I'm going.
I mean, they were. That was literally the whole point of the.
Yeah, I know that was the whole point of that, but I'm just going to myself, come on, man. I don't see Dom having that kind of charm to do that with Rhea. It honestly felt to me that to me, truly, it kind of felt kind of like the popular girl. It was like a love don't cost a thing situation with Dom and Rhea. Honestly, it's a bad reference if anyone knows that film. But I really never got this sense that they were meant to be like next gen Eddie and China. I really never got that from them. I guess because it was meant to be, I guess because it was meant as a reference, and they were leaning so hard into it, it just turned me away.
I think that's kind of why at the beginning it did work for me personally, is because they did lean so heavy into, hey, if my real father, Eddie, I'm going to be exactly like him. I'm going to grow my hair out like him. I found that shit kind of funny. And then, of course, having this badass, strong woman beside him, of course, you're going to have comparisons between Rhea and China.
They were coming. I knew they were coming, but I would have been like, yes, they embrace it, but I don't know. I guess that was just a hard pitch. That was a hard pill for me to take.
Yeah. All right, so let's move on to our next match, which I really wanted this match to be so much better than it was.
Yeah.
I'm so disappointed with this match.
Yeah,
Jimmy
you're not the
Uso
only one.
versus
I mean,
Jey
a lot
Uso.
of people, and yeah, this really was difficult. This was difficult because, especially the fact that the Usos had said in interviews that they wanted to fight each other at WrestleMania, and definitely they were on their way towards it.
Mm-hmm.
But this match really did feel. If this match was instead a brawl instead of a wrestling match, I'm
Mm-hmm.
thinking it would have been much better, honestly.
They should have just made this match tribal combat.
Or maybe a no disqualification match, you know,
Well, I mean,
or
tribal
false count.
combat is no DQ. Just name it that because of the whole family bloodline thing.
Or maybe a falls count anywhere situation to where you get
Mm-hmm.
them like Jay and Jimmy just could not Jay just could not keep his rage contained into the ring, so they just start fighting out along the arena.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have minded that, but the fact they had to keep it contained in that space to me felt limited, both Jay and Jimmy.
It was a situation like Triple H and Randy Orton for Mania 25. It was you built up these two to a point where their rivalry can only end in a brawl,
Yes.
but you've cut it at its knees, making it just a regular wrestling match.
Yeah. And I think and it's kind of one of the hard parts with this when you build rivalries or
Mm-hmm.
build rivalries to be so personal. You have to come down to it. If this is going to be in a match, it's either both these men just can't wait to get their hands on each other, or you put them in a situation to where, okay, we can't continue in the ring, so you're just gonna fight anywhere. That's why one thing I appreciate with AEW, they have those lights out matches, they have those
Mm-hmm.
unsanctioned matches, they no you know well, sometimes a cage match, but they have those matches where they understand this rivalry is not gonna.
Blood and Guts, for example.
Which one?
Blood and Guts.
Yes, blood and guts, or what they did with Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker.
Mm-hmm.
That's like some situations where even Triple H did that against Seth Rollins at 33, the whole harmless agreement match, to where no matter what happens, we're not going to be held responsible for what happens in the
Yeah.
ring. I mean, I doubt they were going to do an I Quit match with both the Usos, because then that would take up too much time.
Yeah. But a really good, I think the reason they didn't do that is because it's on the same night that you have Rhodes and Rollins and Reigns and The Rock, and that became
Yes.
a big brawl. So they didn't want two big brawls with two of the same family members in the same night, which I get, but then don't make that tag match into a brawl.
Yeah.
Make that the wrestling match.
I'll have thoughts on those when we get to it later on. But I mean, there was the one few things I can at least take away from this match was there was that great one spot to where Jimmy did like he was on his knees apologizing to Jay.
I did not like this spot.
No, I knew that there was going to be a swerve, but at least with Jay, one thing Jay has been doing in these when he wrestles, he is at least able to sell the moment that happens.
Mm-hmm.
And Jay did his best job to sell that. I mean, despite commentary going like, Jay never wanted this. Jay wanted this to be him and his brother against the world. I'm like, guys, can you stop talking so I can at least look at the facial expressions on Jay?
I did not. I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead. I was going to say, but when that swerve happened, I'm going, yep, that was undercut it.
Well, it's not that. It's just, I think Jay looked kind of stupid. Like, I get it, it's your brother, but this is a guy who's cost you multiple title shots, has kicked you in the face, has beaten you down, and you're still gonna pick him up and try to hug him? Like, come on, Jay. Like, if I were you, I would just super kick him right in the face.
That's one of the reasons why I thought this should have been a brawl. There should have been a point to where Jay was unleashing so much of his frustration on Jimmy, to when Jimmy does do that apology. Jimmy could have been like he's beaten down and it's like, I'm sorry. He could have been saying like, I did this because of, not like he did this because he loved him. He's like, I did that because I didn't think you had it in you. Like you weren't gonna be that you weren't never meant to be the right hand man, But it wasn't, Like I felt there could have been some more moments there.
And there were so many super kicks in this match. I'm okay with a lot of super kicks in the matches. I love a Young Bucks match. But there was like 26 super kicks between both Jimmy and Jay.
People
And it
always, I
just,
love that. I saw a meme where someone said, "Oh, Young Buck super kicked that much," and then they did the whole Will Smith like Usos. Look, I get people
yeah,
make fun of. I get people saying the super kick no longer feels like a powerful move. Well, the thing is that it's I don't know, kind of like with the cutter or with a stunner. It's like
mm,
how it's sold.
mm,
But beyond
mm,
that, I see. Yeah, when super kicks are thrown out multiple times, it does take away. That's why when the Bucks do it, it's only on moments to where they are trying to lead into finishing off a match, not just
yeah,
like the back and forth punches. You know.
dude. Jimmy or Jay super kicked Jimmy like 4 or 5 times in a row in the corner.
And still kicked out.
Yeah, I don't
Ugh.
know. And I've heard this saying like be brought around a lot. They have such great chemistry as a tag team, but when they are going one on one with each other, it seems like the chemistry is not there, and that could be because they've never had a match before.
Yeah, this is like the first time they fought each other. That's why Jay, yeah, he's done well as a singles wrestler.
Hmm.
But this honestly did feel to me like both of them didn't have a plan to where this was going.
I wonder if it's because Jimmy and Jay, because they were such a good tag team, or they were such a good tag team because they wrestle a similar style. And I wonder if when you put those two styles together, it just didn't mesh. Because when Jay goes against someone with a different style, like a Shinsuke or a Roman
Mm-hmm.
or, someone like that, Roman is kind of that, but he has more of a brawler storytelling style that works with Jay, who is more of a high flyer. But when Jimmy, who's also a high flyer, works with Jay, who's also a high flyer, maybe something didn't click there.
Well, there's so much that can go across this, but yeah, I'm just not. This whole thing, I really just never spent some. Yeah, honestly, I don't think we should spend more on it. It's like this. There was the potential was there,
Mm-hmm.
but then we just couldn't find
This
it.
was my pick, I think, for night one match of the night, and I was kind of let down by it. I mean, it's not a terrible match. Don't get me wrong. Like these two, it's it's a competently made wrestling match, but it never gets into third gear, in my opinion. Let's move on to another match that I felt was another disappointment, and that was the 6-woman tag match. Damage Control taking on Jade Cargill, Bianca Belair, and Naomi. I'll start with this one if you don't mind, because I do have a little gripes.
Go for it.
Naomi felt like an afterthought in this match. She didn't do anything. It made Jay and Bianca look really good, but Naomi didn't really look good. She didn't have her moment at WrestleMania. She didn't get to do anything. She got beat up the entire match and then was saved by Bianca and Jade. Damage Control could have done more in this match. I'm okay with Damage Control losing if they at least make it a close match.
Yeah. Well,
But once Jade got in, it was over. It was a squash match at that point.
I mean, honestly, it just felt that's the. I've said this before with Jade's character with Jade when she was in the AEW. The way she was booked, she was she was kind of booked to be this kind of super athlete. But when you put her in the ring against technically sound and experienced wrestlers, or even wrestlers who were still green but were starting to get in the flow of things like Anna and Sky Blue, Jade only worked well as a powerhouse. And at least that was one of the smarter decisions that they did, booking her this way. She can still have her explosive moves. She can still be someone who can take down wrestlers. But yeah, Naomi, she was she unfortunately felt like she got the short end of the stick here. One thing I will say is I did like their entrances. I actually spent like 3 minutes trying to determine were they trying to be like Mortal Kombat characters or X-Men characters? Because the way they came down though, and then when they were having their one by one thing, I'm like, this felt like a player selects kind of thing. But because even then Naomi, like
Yeah.
she comes in with that haircut and the way her outfit is, I'm going, okay, that feels a lot like Storm. But then Naomi
Yeah.
has that big hat, and I'm going, wait, no, maybe it's Mortal Kombat. But then Bianca comes in with a Cyclops visor. I'm going, okay, no, they're X-Men. Like, I'm trying to remember what character in the X-Men has a big ass hat.
Can I be honest for a minute?
Yeah.
I was watching that entrance, and when I saw Bianca with the visor, I immediately thought SpongeBob from the SpongeBob SquarePants movie, where he's like, "Oh, fuck!"
Okay, that's good. Yeah, it was just like I was so lost in a few moments. I mean, I understood I like the damage control entrance, coming out
Yeah,
to the with all the I'll say the kabuki state, the kabuki set, the kabuki dance,
yeah.
the kabuki dress setup,
Hmm.
and it really shows like a united front with damage control. And then seeing them come out, yeah, the match did feel to me like it was just a palate cleanser for the main event coming later in the night. I mean, even then, I would not have taken this off of the card because I
No.
thought this was a good way to not only present Jade on a grand scale,
Hmm.
but also kind of a way to, in a way with groups and like really start showing the. I'm not gonna say the beginning of the end, but it definitely felt like the beginning of the end of Damage Control's reign of terror across the women's division on SmackDown.
Hmm.
That's what it felt
I
like.
I think because I was coming from this as I knew Jade and Bianca and Naomi were winning, just because you're not gonna put Jade in a match, her first match, and have her lose, because that wouldn't make any sense. So I understand that. I just thought Damage Control would put up more of a fight. Like, maybe here's what I would much rather them do. And they tried this in the match for like one spot and then just completely wasted it.
Uh-huh.
I would have loved it if Dakota, being the strategist that she is, knows that if Jade gets in this match, it's over for them. So they keep Bianca and Naomi in their side of the corner. They played the FTR role, where in an FTR match, they like to cut the ring in half and keep their opponents on their side. So they keep
Okay.
Bianca and Naomi on their side of the ring because they know if Jade gets tagged in, it's over. So you play the long game. You have Damage Control work over Naomi, and then she has to tag in Bianca, and
Okay.
it revs up. And then Bianca comes in, is on fire, and then she gets taken back by Damage Control because Dakota knows keep him on this side of the ring. And then finally at the end, after 10, 15 minutes or whatever, Jade gets tagged in, and then just have her run house. That protects
Okay.
Jade because it makes her look like this strong, powerful force that can change a match in an instant, but it doesn't, one, forget that Naomi exists, and two, makes Damage Control look so fucking stupid by letting Jade get tagged in and letting these fresh people come in when they're supposed to be the seasoned tag team.
I do read from what you're saying there, and I think that's what I felt. Why? That's why, like, I mean, Asuka and Kyrie. I mean, as much as a great how like comedic they kind of are,
Mm-hmm.
but they are truly experienced wrestlers. And seeing with Bianca and Naomi how experienced they are, it really would have felt to me like both of them could have been putting on a great show. I'm not gonna. This wasn't as disappointing as the Usos match, but it just felt to me that once again time was being sacrificed here.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, as far as like rating this match goes, this would kind of be like I wouldn't say middle of the road. It's a little. I would put this definitely above the Uso match for night one.
Oh yeah, I completely forgot that we were doing 5-star rankings. We did that for the first match and just didn't do it.
No, that's okay. No, that's completely okay. But I was thinking of 5-star ranking. I was thinking more of just like ranking like each match. But
Oh, okay.
But yeah, as far as 5 stars goes, this would get maybe like 3.5 because it was still an entertaining match. Usos,
I
would
would give
give
this a
3.
2.5.
Really?
Yeah, it was probably my least favorite of night one. Jimmy and Jay, I'd say a 3-star. It's middle of the road, not a bad match, but it never got out of third gear. Rey Andrade versus Dominic and Santos, I'd give a 3 also.
Mm-hmm.
Really fun palate cleanser. Didn't really like the ending. The 6-pack tag match, I'm giving 4.5. I had so much fun with that match.
Yeah.
And then you were saying for your ranking?
Well, the 6-pack, that one, I mean, I will just say my only high star match is Becky and Rhea. Everything else is just going to be down the middle. But now think about it,
wow.
Usos would definitely be 2.5. 2.5. The 5-star,
Wow.
the 6-pack match would be 3 stars. Oh no, never mind. I'm not. I'm sorry. There is another match after this before the main
Hmm.
event that is a high star match. So as far as this goes, this was a three. This was a 3.5 star match.
Yeah, I'm gonna give this 2.5 stars. This was actually my least favorite match of night one. But now let's get to one of my other favorite matches of the night for
Yeah.
the Intercontinental Championship. The champion Gunther taking on Sami Zayn. I absolutely love the way this whole scene started in the backstage with Sami telling his wife to keep his son backstage because he didn't want his son to see what is about to happen. He goes
Yes.
down the long corridor. He meets with Chad Gable, and you hear Gable say, "You owe me a favor." I like that they
Yes.
added that in there. And then who does he meet at Gorilla? His best friend, Kevin Owens. Kevin slaps him in the face and says, "Go fucking get him." That
Yes.
got me so fucking hyped for this match, man.
I will admit this match. I got hyped for this match too. Out of all of everything on this card, this one got me the most hype because most of these matches felt like there was going to be a foregone conclusion. This one to
Mm-hmm.
me felt like it could go either way, with Sammy winning
Yep.
or Gunther winning. And going in, I loved the whole thing. Sammy going in with that enthusiasm. Like I really felt like this was Sami Zayn back in the days of NXT and early in his early year in WWE, where he was 100% there. Like well, not just that, but also the Sami Zayn that came back when he turned from the Bloodline, full of passion and heart, going into this match against Gunther.
Yeah, and like for someone who I wanted Chad Gable in this match as more than anybody, but I was okay with Sammy being in this position. The crowd in Philly was so behind Sammy. They did such a good job at making this Rocky story. I made a joke to my brother about how if this is really like a Rocky 3 situation or a Rocky 4 situation, then that means Chad Gable has to die in the ring by Gunther, right?
In a way.
No, but the way this match started, it really felt like a boxing match. Like they were trading each other. I love that Sammy started off by chopping Gunther, and when Gunther went for a chop, Sammy kind of ducked underneath, trying to stay away from it as much as possible.
Yeah.
That was really smart way to start the match. And then the match just started going and going. Sami Zayn hits a tornado DDT. Gunther counters Zayn's offense with a sleeper hold. They are both countering each other. Um, yeah, Zayn was going for the Haluva kick, but Gunther blocked it with a drop kick. And this is the part I love. Gunther power bombing Sammy. He kicks out, goes to the top rope, hits a splash. At the same time, he is looking right at Sammy's wife and is like,
Oh,
look,
every time he looked back at her, Jesus Christ!
every time he was doing it.
I'm like, Gunther, focus on the match. Just reminded me of Roman and Sammy. Like Roman just kept shouting back at, like he kept going back at the wife. But this situation, it kind of did him. It kind of did him. It kind of what it not did Gunther dirty, but it was his undoing. Yeah.
Yeah. Which kind of makes sense because Gunther is somebody who it seems like the storyline was that he started believing in his own hype way too much as Intercontinental Champion.
I think not just the hype, but he also believed that at this point he's decimated the toughest competition to where,
Mm-hmm.
in a way, like Roman. But the difference between him and Roman was that Gunther did never needed help. Even when he was pushed
Mm-hmm.
to his limit, he found a way to come back and win. So
Yeah.
yeah, when it came with Sami Zayn, he's going, "I'm gonna beat you no matter what's gonna happen. This is a foregone conclusion." And that's what I love. And him attacking Gable like on the Raw before or leading up to Mania definitely made sense too. To where like he's not gonna help you. No one's gonna help you
Mm-hmm.
against. And then I love the fact that that was his undoing. Sam, and his biggest undoing was trying to do the haluva kick to Sammy, and then Sammy's like, "Oh fuck you!" hits him with a haluva kick. But then I love the fact,
I love this ending so much when he goes for um what is it? He goes for a suplex on the top rope,
yeah.
right?
Well, no, it was the
Yeah.
brain buster.
I love the brainbuster spot. I was like,
Time
PWG.
not just that, but also his days when he was El Generico in Ring of Honor, and he used that a couple times in NXT as well. So it was
Yep.
amazing to see him bust that move out, and then the two haluva kicks for that 1, 2, 3 was amazing.
So awesome. Dude, I love the fact that with this brainbuster, he kind of twisted with it.
Yeah,
So it was like a twisting neck breaker, and he hit his head, like Gunther's head spiked right on the turnbuckle, which is awesome because when you think about the history that Sammy and Gunther have, they actually go back pretty far. They were in PWG at the same time, and they've actually wrestled with each other in, I believe it was like a 6-pack match, which had like Tommaso Ciampa, Sammy Callahan. It was like a huge star-studded match. But people don't realize how far their history actually goes because Gunther, when he was Walter on the independent scene, he worked for PWG for a few years before Sammy came up to NXT. So the fact that Gunther was like, I'm okay with taking this spinning brain buster, I was like, that's fucking awesome.
it's one of the reasons why I'm saying to most of these which I will say, most of these WWE fans, they're never going outside of the bubble to learn about
No.
wrestling history. They want everything spoon fed to them the moment a wrestler's in the company, and then they're kind of like, well, how come I didn't know about this past history? Not every wrestler's going to get a video package, or they're going to have segments to where they'll talk about their time in the indies or in a different company. So you're just going to take things at face value and do the research yourself.
Which is great because I didn't know about PWG till about 2016, and I was like, okay, I want to know more. So I watched PWG, I watched Ring of Honor, I watched New Japan. That was when I really started getting into more indie wrestling because I wanted to know who guys were like Chuck Taylor, like Trent Beretta, like Orange Cassidy. I wanted to know who these guys were, so I would go and look up Beyond Wrestling and things like that, and really get an idea of who these wrestlers were. Johnny Gargano was a guy who I just knew from NXT until I went back and watched his stuff on the Indies.
Yeah. I thought that's one thing that could have been. I thought that was one thing fans would have done during when we were all shut down the pandemic. Like so much wrestling available to everybody. I'm like, you can sit at home, like play go on YouTube, find something for. You can see intergender. You can see Cassidy as a champion defending against women, against men. I mean, he had.
There's a match with Orange Cassidy versus Candice LeRae.
Yeah. Even Keith Lee, he and Mia Yim fought each other in a match. You've seen like Brian Cage. He has wrestled against Candice LeRae. He's wrestled against Kylie Ray, Britt Baker, Jordan Grace. I mean, that's one thing people keep saying about Spot Fest is so much. Like all these freaking wrestling pundits and critics going like, seriously, look at the indies where it is nothing but Spot Fest. But it's Spot Fest sometimes for a reason because of the small crowds that's happening there. And even then, some of the goofiest and funniest things that happen on the indie scenes make sense because it's a one-night wrestling show to where they don't know if the crowd's going to love it or not. So everyone's going like, oh, I can't believe WWE or AEW is going to be this goofy. Oh, I'm sorry. You poor, sheltered, closed-minded people. You have not seen how things can get goofy.
Dude, so back to the match real quick. Sorry that we got off topic for on the indie conversation, but I am so glad. I know some people are saying that Gunther should have retained, but what else could you have done with his title reign? But the fact that it ended with a main eventer of like Sami Zayn on the biggest stage that WWE has, WrestleMania, in a fucking 5-star match. And the fact that now Gunther is free to go for the World Heavyweight title.
Yes.
He's perfectly fine.
Yeah, for the World Heavyweight title, or if the draft ever does happen early this year, I mean, like either by Backlash, you can see him on SmackDown challenging for the WWE title for the
history that they would have with that match if they do it, which we'll get to night 2 in just a second. But that could be a great idea. All right, so let's move on to our.
I was gonna say I give this match like 4.5, maybe 5 stars.
This is my 5-star. This is my match of the night.
All right,
let's move on to our main event: Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins versus the Bloodline, Roman Reigns and The Rock. This match is the second longest match in Mania history, only behind Brett and Shawn at WrestleMania 12.
Man, this is a match where I felt time needed to be trimmed down.
I kind of agree with you.
The fact that Rock and Roman at least had like nearly 5 minute totals for their individual entrances. Jeez. Well, not 5 minutes total. I mean 5 minutes for their individual entrances, 10 minutes total for each other. I mean, Christ's sakes, at least Cody and Seth, they were able to get down to the ring and get ready. But then it's like Rock, electricity, lights out, and then final boss engaged. Then his music, then Hollywood Rock, camera shot on flames where the Brahma Bull signal is, overhead shot. Rock slowly walking down to the ring while holding a custom-made Brahma Bull championship. Him going towards the ring, intimidating a crew member, then raising his belt in the air. I'm like, fucking hell. I could have gone to the bathroom 3 times over if I was drinking from both their entrances.
So, I will say, this match was not as bad as I was expecting it to be. Because I thought that, and, you know, this could be on me. I'll admit this. I was one of those fans who was like, if Rock is going to get blown up with one fucking spine buster to Jinder Mahal, how the fuck is he going to wrestle a main event match? He did. Kudos to The Rock. He put in the fucking work. They said he sent out wrestlers to train. He got into ring shape, and he performed tonight.
Yeah,
at night 1.
I give Rock that credit. Like, I'm not going to hold that against him. He's not like most wrestlers who will just come in for a spot, take a paycheck, and go. He really wanted to put in the work. I mean, it's kind of one of the reasons why I understand when the original, and I'm saying air quotes, plan was that Rock and Roman at 40. I honestly felt it was going to set up something. I never believed it was going to be Rock and Roman at WrestleMania 40, but I understand some people thought it was.
They were showing a behind the scenes like documentary they're putting out for Mania 40, and in that commercial that started at night 2, Triple H literally said, "Yes, we had to pivot. We had to make adjustments." So that's Triple H telling you that Rock and Roman was the plan, but they changed it to Roman versus Cody.
Unfortunately, because this is WWE and they like to do this kind of stuff, I don't know if I can believe that. I mean, if that's how they felt, that's how it was going to happen, then okay, then understood. It's
like the fact that Triple H is saying that, yes, this wasn't part of the plan. Like, the plan was Roman Reigns versus The Rock, but then we listened to the fans and, like, we had to make a twist. That kind of shows that I kind of believe him. Like, why would you say that we had to make a turn if that wasn't your original plan?
Yeah.
But overall, I love that this match kind of became a brawl. And I like the way that they kind of made it a no DQ match without making it a no DQ match ahead of time. Because I think The Rock playing up this, power that he has at TKO by telling the ref, hey, if you get me, or if you count or get me disqualified, you will be fired. That works with his final boss character. That works with the kind of asshole authority figure he was trying to go for. And it really opened up and expanded this match into more of just, they gave him more to work with throughout the arena instead of just keeping it right in the center of the ring.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely worked too. And honestly, I'm kind of glad that there was no hints of a Seth betrayal in this match. Like, Seth not only came to play, not only did he come to wrestle, he came to stick to his word that he wanted to help Cody win. Like, taking shots for Cody every now and then, saving Cody from that spear that The Rock got hit with, that he sold, like he just got like stabbed in the gut. That was
that spear cell was amazing. Rock sold the fuck out of that spear, though. He was like, "Oh, it was so good."
He sold it like someone had thrown a bowling ball into his abdomen. Honestly, and then
you know what? Good.
And no, it was good. And then those times they do the Mama Rhodes weight belt that he had.
Mama Rose.
Jeez. Oh, and then that smack he did on Cody when Cody was trying to go for that third crossword Rose. Oh boy, that was it. That definitely was a hurt spot. And as much as I would have loved to have seen a Roman and Cody solo fight, it made sense that Rock and Roman were going to win this Bloodline Rules match. Because it kind of is into Roman's character now, to where he thinks he's bringing other people in because he doesn't want to not put in the work, but he's kind of like at this
I don't
point,
have to put in the work.
Yes, yeah, that's the thing. I don't have to put in the work, but to me, it kind of reads off of Roman. He's kind of really relied so much on the bloodline to where he can't even see that it weakens him as a champion. And of course, they go in very cocky, like ending night one. They're like, "We did this, so it's secured. It's gonna happen. I'm gonna walk out as what's still the undisputed Universal Champion." And even then, The Rock still he gets his moment.
Yeah, I love that because I kind of called it too. I was like, well, if you're gonna do this, what I think it would ended up becoming at night two, this Avengers Assemble moment, you have to have it where it was no disqualification. Because what are you gonna do? Have a ref bump and have the ref be taken out for 10 fucking minutes in the match?
No, 3 different refs run into the ring.
Yeah. So this was the obvious solution of just let's make it no disqualification in night two. Gives the match more stakes going into night two, because then you're not sure if Cody's going to win or not. They have that, they can play up the drama, and you get all the cameos and the interferences and things like that in night two.
Yeah.
All right, so Cody and Seth versus Roman and Rock. What would you give this main event out of 5?
Uh, 3.5.
I'd actually go higher. I'd probably go 4.
This one just didn't really spit. It didn't really hit with me, honestly. I mean, before then, it was a good, decent match, and then when it went outside, it worked. But before on then, there were just some parts of this match that just wasn't really rolling with me.
That's fair.
I didn't say it out loud, but it's just there are some times in this match where I'm watching and I'm going, Cody's spending too much time trying to placate to the crowd to get them fired up when he's trying to do his Cody cutter. Now, I think that's one of the things. The multiple times he's missed on his Cody cutter, out of, not purposely missed, but he goes for it, he gets hit, he goes for it, he gets hit, and then he finally catches it on the Rock. I understand the psychology part of it, but some of the moves that are part of his repertoire where I'm like, okay, don't need to do disaster kick too many times. The Cody cutter. I mean, hell, Roman's no better either with his drive-by boot and then his Superman punch and spear. But I just felt as if there are certain spots where I'm like, not enough time doesn't need to be dedicated just so you can hit somebody and then placate to the camera. And even then, The Rock personally taking time out when he was trying to slam Cody through a table, yelling at Mama Rose. I'm going, look. We know the roof's gonna get reversed. Just do the thing.
That's fair.
The time limit really did bring it down for me. Also,
they could have shaved a good 5 minutes off this match.
5 or 10 minutes, honestly.
Yeah. All right, so let's move on to Mania Night 2, which I think is actually better than Night 1. All right, let's start off.
A step up, honestly. It was a huge step up. Oh, I should say that while we're going to be talking about this, we should definitely talk about the MVP of both nights, personally. Samantha Irving, the announcer.
Oh, yes.
She, without a doubt, the standout.
I love her announcing. I think she is perfect for this job.
She's not just perfect, but she's so genius. She's brilliant in ways when she announces people and how she's able to use her voice. Seriously, she's climbing up there with Howard Finkel as one of the announcers you want to have say your name when you make it in WWE.
As Roman Reigns is fucking awesome. She puts her fucking voice and stomach into that shit.
Yeah, and the emotion that she had when she was announcing Sami Zayn as the winner.
Oh, and then later on in night 2, which
Yeah, we will get there as well with night 2. But even then,
yeah,
just the entrances. I mean, but even then, when she's just doing it simply on Raw, I mean, the fact that her signature thing with Chelsea Green's entrance, for Christ's sake,
so
the fact that it
good.
got banned, it created such a fervor that when she brought it back, the people went crazy over it.
It was banned.
Well, not banned, but she was told at a time not to do it anymore. And then I think it was for a few, like a 2 months maybe, because this is during the time when I think mainly with the bucktooth motherfucker Kevin Dunn was in charge.
Ah.
When he was gone, she brought it back.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, Samantha Irving is amazing. All right, let's move on to Mania Night 2. We open up, surprisingly, with the World Heavyweight Championship match as champion Seth Rollins takes on Drew McIntyre. Before we start into this match, I love which we should have talked about in Night 1 as well. I love the camera angle and the camera lens they use for the introductions. It feels more like you're actually in the ring. I love the way they do that. And then you have the challenger and the champions banner. It makes it feel like a real sport when they do it like that.
Yeah, and honestly, it works better on pay-per-views instead of trying to do it on regular weekly television.
Yes.
I get they want to make it feel much bigger and better. The thing is that I think we'll focus on how the broadcast is going first before you want to do something like that. Unless it's kind of like a rare moment to where it's like maybe.
I would just do it for championship matches, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, that could work. Yeah.
That way it feels special. You get that championship introduction with a special camera. And even if it's like a championship match on SmackDown, which those are on Raw, which very rarely happen, that makes it feel even more like a special occasion when that camera angle shows up.
Yeah. Honestly, that could work.
All right, so I love the way this match starts. Fucking Drew just hits Seth with the Claymore. I thought it was over. I thought, oh my god, the squash match is happening.
Oh, one thing Seth's entrance on both nights, honestly.
So good.
He really stands out to how well of the flamboyancy in his character is when that first night he has that blue that flowing blue and yellow jacket with that like nice little almost
the
like
flower.
To me it looked like a bit of like one of those bow those little presents with a bow that gets put on them.
Yeah,
that's what it looked like. And then, of course, for this one where he's coming out with the Philadelphia Street Band and in so many lavish just creations, I'm like, man, that is a guy, even if Seth loses, he still walks out a winner.
But also, Mania Night 2 starts with Stephanie McMahon showing up. I did not expect to see Stephanie.
Well,
that was awesome.
She was in the crowd in Night 1, so it was kind of interesting to see her in the ring for Night 2.
Yeah, and I love that she did the again, she named it the Paul Levesque era, the Triple H era, which I'm fine with that. And then she does the DX Are You Ready?
Yes, she does.
I love that. That's awesome. But this match starts off with a Claymore, and dude, I popped. I was like, oh my god, my prediction was true. It's gonna be a squash match. But no, Rollins kicks out. They start brawling. Seth hits a stomp. Drew kicks out. Drew then goes. Oh, we should mention CM Punk is on commentary. He kind of annoyed the fuck out of me on commentary, though. That could be my bias from his previous interviews, but Drew hits a Future Shock DDT on the outside. Or no, he goes for a Future Shock and gets reversed into a pedigree by Rollins.
Yeah, because at first he was taken off the table and because wanted to do that in front of Punk, and then that distraction happened.
Yep. McIntyre reversed into a Future Shock DDT. And then at the end, let me see if I can go to it real quick. I'm kind of trying to. Yeah. Rollins goes for the stomp, gets stopped by a
Mhm.
Claymore by McIntyre. I believe this was his second Claymore of the match, and he won the title. Drew McIntyre won the heavyweight title, and then he goes and
Well, first he goes to,
celebrates.
yeah, he celebrates with his wife and believe. I mean, I don't know if it was brother-in-law or just brother,
Mhm.
and it was just it was like the not. I like the emotion on his face. This was clear. This is Mac. This was the moment that McIntyre should have gotten at 36 before the pandemic
Yeah,
hit, and you see the emotion there. And I
I will
thought they
say,
were gonna, yeah,
I'm sorry for interrupting you, but I I know Punk is supposed to be a face. I guess he's supposed to be a face.
I doubt
Why
it's that way.
he annoyed the fuck out of me when he wouldn't give Drew his moment. He kept
Well,
saying, "Oh, Rollins was injured. He's beating an injured man." I'm like, it doesn't matter. Like Rollins asked for this match. He asked to work night 1 and night 2. You could at least give him that. But I don't know. Something about Punk on commentary annoyed the fuck out of me.
to me, this is like petty punk, honestly. And it definitely showed when Drew won that moment, like he's going to celebrate with them. That's why I felt that, oh, he's going to. That's why when they, I thought it was going to cut when after he celebrated, but then once he looks at Punk, I'm going, oh, please don't. And then that moment happens. He first. I love the fact he's slowly like crawling to him like it's freaking Dirty Dancing. He's just
Yeah,
like, I'm coming at you. I'm gonna get right in your face. And then Punk is just like, yeah, you won. Congratulations, you won. And then he's in that cross. Then he's squatting. He's going like, I want to take a photo with this. I want this. I want to take a. I want to screenshot it. Then Punk clips him under the leg, underneath his
Mhm.
legs, takes off that brace, so guessing he's not hurt anymore. And then we get Damian Priest running down the ramp with his Money in the Bank contract. Another heist of the century at WrestleMania, which is kind of a good thing because one thing I liked in 2024 was they stopped referring so much to his Money in the Bank contract a lot.
Mhm.
Which is why, and people were speculating for the longest time Priest is going to cash in. And you know what? I'm kind of glad it did happen because some people forgot about it. Others were kind of like it was in the back of their mind. I had one friend of mine in my one of my messenger
Mhm.
groups. She predicted that Priest was going to cash in, and you know,
Can I give you a way I would do this instead? Sorry for interrupting you again, but
go for it, go for it.
I think it would have been better and kind of hilarious of if Priest would have cashed in during the heavyweight title match. Like he cashed in on Seth Rollins, the same way Rollins cashed in at 31 and turned it into
Yeah.
a triple threat match. But then you could have Drew be taken out.
Mm-hmm.
Priest hits the South of Heaven on Rollins and pins Rollins since Rollins' back is already hurt from the night before. And then you could have kind of a mirroring of 31 where Rollins left 31 as champion, but now he's getting cashed in on
Mm-hmm.
at 40, and it's kind of a full circle because Drew is supposed to be the heel in this situation. So why have a heel cash in on another heel?
Well, the way this was like this, the way this is playing out from what I got is that it was Drew's own damn fault because it's because of his obsession over Punk being on the injured list. The whole fact that he wanted to gloat in Punk's face. This is just more of Drew's comeuppance got the better of him. Drew's arrogance got the better of him. Yes, I understand it doesn't make sense for most people, but the truth is that when it comes to the Money in the Bank contract, it's literally just like pure chaos. You know, it's not supposed to be logical most of the time. I mean, people will predict like, oh, people want to predict that the fun part about the Money in the Bank briefcase is you have no idea who's going to get cashed in on,
Mm-hmm.
and that was the point. And it also, I think Drew deserved to have his flowers for it around thousands of people that was robbed of him,
Mm-hmm.
and it definitely tied back into one of his rebuttals to CM Punk. So when he talking when Punk left, he stepped up, and while he had to carry the company on his back during an era where there were no fans in the arena. So it definitely, and also this is going to add more. And from what I saw, if Punk is no longer hurt anymore, if that tricep is healed, this is going to lead into a really bitter rivalry between him and McIntyre now. The fact that McIntyre is no longer champion and Priest is. I'm pretty sure, I mean, he probably won't be mad at Priest. It's just going to be more of he's going to, like, let's just say on a Monday Night Raw, Punk comes out and said that he is off the injury list. He's 100% healed. That is a big enough signal for Drew to start beating the living shit out of Punk.
Which sucks because Punk is going to win this feud. So not only did Drew get his moment taken away from him, but he's going to lose to CM Punk.
Possibly, I mean, yeah, but
possibly, like that's going to happen.
Possibly, I mean, it's going to happen. It's just how will it happen though? Like, is it going to be more into Drew's arrogance and obsession gets the better of him again? Because that's how, to me, that's the only way I can see how Punk will win. Not by outsmarting or out wrestling Drew, just more of Drew getting overconfident.
I don't know. I wish they would have let Drew just hold the title for more than 5 minutes. You know what I mean?
I understand 100%. And also, I have no idea when they're going to be doing Money in the Bank early again, or if it's going to be right after Backlash. But in a way, with Priest being world champion, this is kind of a good way to really test him now. Really test the waters with him.
That's another thing. They never made me believe that Priest was a main eventer. He felt like a tag team guy who just happened to hold the Money in the Bank briefcase.
Okay. Yeah, this
is coming from someone who loves Damian Priest. Like, I followed him back when he was Punishment Martinez in Ring of Honor. Like, so it's not like I'm not rooting for him. Don't get me wrong. It's just they haven't done enough for me, storyline wise, to believe that he could be world champion.
Oh, I'm not going to hold that against you. I definitely understand your points. I mean, just like I brought up some of my argumentative points with Rhea to why I was not a fan of this long reign of her, some things they did with her. It makes sense with you for Priest. For me with Priest, I always thought that I think the main issue with the both of us is the connective thread is the Judgment Day. They both have been tied too long to this faction.
That could be it.
Like, I think the one thing I've seen, at least one of the more recent storylines I thought was going to be more of a bigger issue was the issue of leadership of the Judgment Day. Because you do see Rhea in charge at times, but then you see Priest being the one with the final say. I mean, especially during the Truth storyline. Like, this was truly like Priest was the one involved. Rhea was keeping herself out of it. But then once they moved past that moment, Rhea started reasserting herself back in. So maybe now with both Priest and Rhea as world champions for the Raw brand, maybe now this will begin a moment to where we'll start seeing some split loyalty, or maybe now it's going to be like a dominance for control.
Which I could kind of see. Also, I think JD McDonough is really doing nothing in the Judgment Day. I think they really just added him because he's a close friend of Finn Balor.
Which is sad because he's a damn good wrestler on his own.
Oh, he is, and he's also a really good character.
Yes,
he's someone who Jordan Devlin was a character in NXT that he made himself that he could really evolve, and it worked. The Irish Ace was awesome.
You see his match in NXT UK, you could see why this man is so goddamn good, even in his short run NXT. But they're dealt with the hands they're dealt with. I mean, one thing I do also want to bring up with this match, when Seth lost, I love that they showed the heartbreak and emotions on his face.
Yeah.
When Drew had that title, there's that exchange between the two of them. You can tell that Drew, he's not trying to lord this over Seth. He ain't going to rub it in his face. It was honestly like a look or a respect between the two of them of how much that world title is going to mean.
Because even Drew said before that, he was like, it was never personal with me and Seth. It was just I wanted the title that I never got to have in front of fans. And even to the point where like Drew told Seth himself, you're burning the candle too low. Like you're trying to do too much and it's going to cost you, and it did. Yeah.
And I do appreciate how that story plays out. But beyond that, I will give this match like 4 stars personally, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'll give it a 4 as well. again, I just don't know what they're going to do with Priest, because what storylines can you tell with Priest on, especially on Raw, if he's going to stay on Raw? Like, he doesn't feel like someone who would, as much as I hate to say it, you want somebody with a big name value on your A show. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially if Raw is going to Netflix, you want somebody who can bring in outsider.
Yeah, next year it will be on Netflix. But like I said, this is a moment for this. But as I said earlier, this is now a time to truly test Priest. One thing I do appreciate with new stars is that sometimes you got to put a belt on them to see if they can have that, if they can develop that brand name recognition. And sometimes let's see how you build them over a year.
Correct me if I'm wrong. This is Priest's first singles title in the main roster, isn't it?
No, I believe he was United States champion.
Oh my god, I forgot that happened.
Yeah, that was that was under the Vince era.
What? That was during pandemic, wasn't it?
No, I think it was after pandemic. Like when he was after, like when he had, I think it was after the WrestleMania when he had did that tag match with Bad Bunny.
Oh, okay. Okay, so
yes, he was United States champion. Trying to see what year was that. But we can keep going. I'll find it.
Yeah. But again, I'm happy for Priest. I wish the storytelling made me believe he could be world champion material more. It's not on him, it's on the writing process. I'm saying that right now because everyone's gonna say that I hate Priest. I do not. All right, let's move on.
Okay, 2021, he won it. Hold on, shit. It was after WrestleMania Backlash, I believe. Nope. Yes, after WrestleMania, after Backlash, he beat it off of Humberto Carrillo.
Oh, Humberto was the U.S. champion?
Yes. Let's see. He won it at SummerSlam. Oh wait, no. Humberto was the reigning champion. Oh no, never mind. No, Sheamus. Never mind. It was Sheamus he beat.
Okay. Sorry. Okay, I was like, what?
I'm sorry. I'm quickly going off of Wikipedia here trying to find the date. And no, he won it at SummerSlam against Sheamus. It was from a mini angle because this was after he had finished. He concluded his rivalry with Miz and Morrison. And so him saving Humberto Carrillo, who I think at the time was fighting Sheamus in a match, and he saved him from it. Yeah.
Okay. So let's move on to the 6-man Philadelphia street fight. The Pride, which is Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits, versus the Final Testament.
Really? The Pride? That's what they're called?
Yeah, the Pride.
Huh.
They're never called that on TV, but that's the name that WWE's gone with. Like they've trademarked this for Lashley and the Profits.
How couldn't it just been the Hurt Business?
I know, right? But this match, which was special guest refereed by Bubba Ray Dudley, which I love seeing that.
Yeah,
of course, in Philly, he got a big pop in Philly, which is awesome. Is it just me, or did this match not get into third gear?
It really did not. And this one honestly felt like this was rushed for Mania. This should have been like really spread out because the whole point I remember of because Karrion Kross physically prevented the Street Profits from being involved in the six-pack match, saying no one gets to go to Mania. And then it's like, look, they're going to Mania anyway. No, it would have been just better if they had saved this maybe
make this your Backlash.
Backlash or the SmackDown after WrestleMania, kind of be like Bobby Lashley, and this could have been like a main event match to where it was a no disqualification, maybe a street fight to where it's like we're putting everything on the line here.
I don't know. I love both these teams. I think the Street Profits are awesome. I love Lashley. I am a huge fan of Karrion Kross, and they are doing absolutely nothing with him.
I don't know. I think it's just Kross is just not coming across on screen very well. Not like there's no issues with anyone here. It's just that it's very clear Kross is a Triple H guy, 100%. And it's clear from his time in NXT how hard Triple H really tried to get him over. To me
And in
personally,
NXT, it was working.
his second time around. The first time, I did not like the fact. Honestly, this ties into more of them what they did with Keith Lee in NXT when he became a double champion. But yeah, when Cross came back from injury, they were doing him much better. And then when he won that belt off of Balor, I liked what they were doing with him there. But then, of course, it was clear he was not going to work in Vince's era. So when he came back with Triple H, I think one thing is telling me here when it comes to Triple H's people, the people he has worked with in NXT, it is when he was first given creative control, and you started seeing a return of so many of those wrestlers. It was really clear who the audience knew and who they didn't know. And with Cross, despite the fact he had that classic black and white entrance with Scarlett, nobody really they didn't really know him that well. Mainly because of how badly he was used by Vince. That soured him. So even when they were rebuilding him back up, gave him that rivalry with Drew McIntyre, it was still it looked like it was going on the right pace, but then they tried, I don't know, I don't know what it is, but with Cross, they made him too much of a regular wrestler instead of how he was being booked as a very dominant and violent person.
They needed to go back to what Killer Cross was in Impact Wrestling, which was this guy who, when he got in the ring, he was a brawler. He was a fighter. He was someone who would beat you down, make you pay, and then talk about it in a promo. That's the great thing about Karrion Kross. He is such a good promo. He's someone who can make you believe in a video package that this guy is the real deal, but they won't let him show it.
Yeah, which is really unfortunate. And I don't mind this pairing with AOP and Paul Ellering.
I don't either.
Me neither. I mean, I think that AOP also was really done dirty. And although I thought they were, at least during the pandemic time, they looked like they were coming off a little better with when they were paired at the time with Seth, with the suits really coming off to be looking like they were kind of like mafiosa hitmen in a way.
Yeah.
But even now, even with their old guard back then, I still think that hopefully with this once again with WrestleMania over and then going back on retooling the drawing board, we can see AOP starting to be turned back into a dominant force. I think the problem is that because it's the Street Profits and Lashley instead of Cross and AOP being turned against other teams. Because honestly, to me, this feels like an ultimate confrontation between two dominant groups. When the truth is, there is no dominance. I mean, there was a start of that with the Pride, but then, of course, with Cross and then Final Testament, it maybe they were meant to be the answer to the Pride, but once again, it's more of something that got rushed. It got rushed up there, and that's what it felt. This felt like a rushed storyline and a rushed match, despite some of the spots happening there. I honestly thought Bubba Ray was going to get physical when Crosshead was pushing him. But,
I did too.
But man, I'll say some of the moments there, some of the spots was not bad. Montez almost jumping into the goddamn crowd in the front row.
He clipped his leg on that guard post.
Yeah, and I appreciate the fact that he did not get back in the ring. I mean, it was clear that they wanted to double check and make sure he did not injure his foot because, God, if he injured his foot, whoa, that's just a fuck. That's
dude. I am such a huge fan of Montez Ford. They're gonna have to make him a single star at one point.
Yeah, I do.
He's got everything,
or at least put him in a situation to where he's gonna challenge for a singles championship. You know, him and Angelo can work as single stars. I still like the fact they're not gonna do something like drive a wedge between the two of them. Maybe,
I hope they don't.
Let's not. If there is going to be a situation to where one of them are going to be single stars, do it. Let the draft do that, honestly. Let the draft split them apart so then they can become their own men.
Yeah, sorry.
No, that's okay.
I just wish they would do something with the Final Testament. And like I said on our prediction show, the Final Testament had to win this match because if not, I'll tell you what Karrion Kross feels like right now. And I'm not using this name in vain or whatever. He feels like Bray Wyatt.
Hmm.
Bray Wyatt was somebody who would talk and would have great promos, but then when big moments happen, they would
Mhm.
never pull the trigger on him. And when they did pull the trigger on him, it was too late.
Yeah, I mean, you bring up good points. Oh, I'll say with Cross though. To me, I felt he got pulled the trigger too early in his first time in NXT because that match against Keith Lee, he immediately gets hurt and he has to give up that belt, which honestly was a waste of Keith Lee's run as NXT champion during that time. Uh,
Yeah.
but fast forwarding but then when Cross was given to pull the trigger again, it was kind of at a moment where it wasn't too late or it wasn't too early, and it was
Mhm.
off of Balor at the time, who was really killing it as champion.
I also feel like the way that they debuted him on TV hurt a lot of his credibility. Because you debuted this guy looking like a fucking sex, like,
Well, his first match was that match against Jeff Hardy,
mm-hmm.
and then once he loses the NXT belt to Joe, then he gets that repackaged with that mask, looking like what you're gonna say a sex slave.
No, did he come out to that one during the Jeff Hardy match and then he still loses?
No, he didn't have that mask. No, he was NXT champ at that time. He still had that brand recognition.
You're
Of his
right.
team. Yeah.
You're right. Yeah, sorry.
But
I was thinking it was
it was
the same
slowly by
time.
time they were doing that because he didn't have Scarlett with him. It was just his music, and then he was coming out. Then came the mask and those little cross straps, and then he got released. And I'm like, man, just go back to TNA or go to MLW to where you can really
Mm-hmm.
tear it up.
What sucks though is like Karrion Kross could be a world champion if booked properly. I could see him as world champion, but they're not doing anything with him to make me feel like he could be world champion.
Yeah.
But overall,
yeah.
this match was fun. It just didn't get out third gear. I love the ending, the frog splash to the table. Kind of funny that the first table broke, and they were like, "Fuck it, get another one."
Exactly. Maybe when Bubba was saying, like, get 2 tables, they grabbed one only. Like Bubba, it's like he was Nostradamus. He knew that was going to happen.
He was like, grab 2.
And I will say that little spot with B-Fab and Scarlett also doing that little spot on
that was awesome.
That was a good spot as well. B-Fab, she's really not that. She's very, very green, but she's used in small spots.
Mm-hmm.
And even pairing her up with the Pride's kind of a good idea because Scarlett herself is not much of a wrestler. And
she used to be, so
well,
she still has.
Used to.
Yeah.
And even when she was during her, even in the Indies, and then when she had that time in TNA, she was
Scarlett
only,
Bordeaux.
Yeah, she was only wrestling in small, like rare occasions.
Yeah.
So this does feel to me like this is kind of, in a way, I think Scarlett is kind of like Chelsea. You know, they both are not big on the wrestling portion, but they are big on the presentation of the character.
On the character.
Yes.
Yep. Yep. By the way, I'm pretty sure B-Fab's head completely hit the concrete.
Oh yeah, I mean you can definitely see that
she missed the table.
Well, her lower body got it, and good thing she has all those dreads to maybe help cushion the fall. I'm speculating there because he didn't have much to cushion his fall. I mean, it's one of those situations where with table spots, you really have to really set up that table in a good position to where you're falling through. It doesn't matter if you're jumping off a ladder, falling off a ladder, going off of a table, or going off of the ring. It really is about timing and location of the table.
Exactly. All right, so let's move on because we are almost 2 hours in and we got 4 matches remaining.
Yeah.
We've got the Battle of TNA Stars as LA Knight takes on AJ Styles. This feud was so funny to me. It all culminated with LA Knight doing a home invasion angle, and I love the idea of them switching to the body cam. The police cam is so hilarious. But this match was good. I love AJ's new heel theme.
I'll admit, I was surprised they did the heel theme for WrestleMania. Or it's been around for. I've not been watching every episode.
This is the debut of his heel theme. I kind of knew it was coming because he did an interview with Chris Van Fleet over the weekend. He said that he was debuting a new darker theme at Mania.
Okay, yeah.
But this match was good. They worked really well with each other. Hold on. I'm trying to pull up some of the highlights real quick.
Oh, go ahead. Honestly, this was one of those few matches where uh, I'm not saying this was a bathroom break match, but I was drinking a lot of water throughout WrestleMania. I was going back and forth from the bathroom.
All right, so one of the spots I really love was when when Styles goes for that springboard 450, and LA Knight just gets his knees up, and you can see how much impact AJ has on that. So when he lands on the knees, AJ really sells his body. I think that's a perfect way to do that.
Holy crap.
Because normally with the 450, he gets so much momentum going around, and they actually brought that up on commentary that he adds the extra speed and the extra momentum because he's trying to finish his opponents with it. So when LA Knight got the knees up, it seems like it really hurt AJ. Love the Pele kick spot. I love that AJ.
It never fails. The Pele kick never fails.
Oh, it's so cool. It's so cool. But I love that AJ spent the entire match going after the knee of Knight so that he could get in the calf crusher. But it ends with Styles going for the phenomenal forearm. LA Knight runs into the ropes. It causes AJ to lose his balance. He goes against the rope, and LA Knight hits the BFT for the win.
Man, yeah, I honestly didn't think that he was going to win. I thought this would be AJ's because, like I said, because he's been doing a new heel. He's slowly going heel. He's developing a new edge to his character. So I thought this would have been a way to solidify his character with the win, and by being LA Knights. Nothing against LA winning. This is fantastic. I mean, the moment his music hits and he walks in there, this is 100% a crowd that is 100% behind LA. The momentum has not gone away, and definitely in hindsight, thinking about it, it was right for him to win, to really set himself on that stage. So now, hopefully, he will be the one to take the U.S. belts away from Logan Paul. Of course, spoilers for the match we're going to be talking about.
Yeah, that's fine.
But if you're watching us talk about WrestleMania, then you clearly
know what's happening. Yeah. But that's why I was going for LA Knight to win this match. Not only is this his first WrestleMania, but he needed a win in his first WrestleMania. And to do it over someone like as decorated as AJ Styles, who, let's be honest, even with his new heel character, he can take a loss. It's not going to hurt him. But LA Knight, this gives him momentum going, what I feel, towards SummerSlam, which is going to be him and Logan Paul.
That or Backlash, honestly. I mean, as much as the Big Four pay-per-views are a big thing, I honestly think LA is going to win a belt before SummerSlam. He's going to win the belt before SummerSlam. That's what I think, honestly.
No, they're going to keep the title on Logan Paul until SummerSlam because SummerSlam's in Cleveland. They want him as the marquee guy with the title since that's his hometown.
Okay.
They're gonna market the fuck out of the U.S. Championship, possibly being the main event of that card because it is his hometown. You know that they'll be promoting the fuck out of that. So I could see them booking LA Knight versus Logan Paul 3 or 4 months in advance and really getting that match to be one of the marquee matches on the card.
Okay.
But speaking of Logan Paul, let's move on to the triple threat match. Logan Paul, Randy Orton, Kevin Owens for the United States Championship. This match is really fun, man. I hate Logan Paul as a human being. I think he's artle trash, but I got to give it up to him, man. He has taken to pro wrestling like no one I've ever seen before.
No arguments here. I mean, he's definitely showing he's putting in the work, and already he's definitely doing a great job of making you hating him as a character. Seeing how the fact that on SmackDown he announces his Prime, but his Prime is going to be sponsoring WrestleMania. The fact that the logo's in the center of the ring makes you really hate him even more.
So speaking of that, what do you think of the prime bottle in the middle of the ring? I thought it was going to be so distracting, but I barely noticed it by the time, because I think doing the black and white version of it in the ring
The
kind of
fact that it
made
was
it
so
just
small,
kind
but
of.
then you had the prime bottles like by the Spanish announce desk. So I'm
I
going
didn't
to.
mind that. They kind of like used that as like a weapon throughout the hardcore matches, which I kind of found funny.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I mean, I guess for me, it's like when big moments happen. I mean, it wasn't as distracting, but it's the fact that it's there is the takeaway from it. Like I'm going, this, this would be much better. I mean, I don't know. It's not. It wasn't like it ruined anything, but I'm just going, why the hell is that there? You know, kind of like when
I mean,
Snickers was sponsoring the women's battle, where I'm like,
mm-hmm.
really?
I mean, business wise, I get why they're doing it. They're going to go more UFC style, where like they have
Well,
promotions on the mat
yeah,
and stuff. But I did love the mirroring of the Sami Zayn night one when Kevin Owens is coming out to do his entrance and Sami Zayn is waiting for him. He's like, "Now you do it."
yeah. And then
I
him
love
coming out
that.
in that golf cart, really reminiscent of his rivalry against Roman.
Oh, I didn't even catch that. That's funny. But the fact that he backed up and let Orton ride on top of it down the ramp was hilarious.
I know that was really good. Like you'd think that he was just gonna get rid of, like someone get rid of it, but he's like, no, like he is cool with Randy to be like, I'm just gonna
He's like,
bring
"Get
you
in!"
down with me. Get on board.
Dude, Randy Orton seems like since he came back, he's just having fun with pro wrestling again.
Yeah, I mean he's really at that position to where having a losing streak or maybe losing big matches is not gonna hurt him that much.
Mm-hmm.
And even then, he'll still be like, he's still gonna be like, all it takes is one victory to remind people that he is a damn good wrestler. And
Mm-hmm.
oh, sorry, hold on for a moment.
That's fine. So some of the highlights of this match, I'm gonna go ahead and go through them real quick. Um, Orton went for the RKO to Paul. Paul pushed and KO super kicked Orton. Owens hits a power slam and a moonsault on Logan Paul. He kicks out at 2 as Owens goes for a pop-up power bomb. Orton's counters into an RKO, but Owens kicks out. Paul from behind tries to use brass knucks on Orton, but eventually does. Paul thought he won, but Orton kicked out. Then he uses the brass knucks on Kevin Owens. As he taunts Orton, tries to hit another punch on Orton. Orton reverses with an RKO out of nowhere. The fans cheer as Orton seems to bring back his legendary punt kick, but he is stopped by the masked Prime mascot, which I'll wait to get Ryan's thoughts on this when he comes back. But Owens hits a pop-up powerbomb on Paul, then a stunner on Orton. Orton kicks out. Orton hits a crazy RKO from midair from a pop-up powerbomb. But after that, Paul pushes Orton out of the ring and pins and knocked out Owens. Paul retains the championship by taking advantage of a frog splash. So let's wait until my co-host comes back to discuss who the person is behind the Prime bottle. But overall, I thought this match was really fun. So again, we didn't talk about it, but for the 6-man tag, I'm giving it a 2.5 star. For LA Knight and AJ Styles, I'm giving it a 3 star. And for Logan Paul and Kevin Owens, I'm giving this a 4 star. I think it's a really, really good match. All right. Gotta wait for my co-host to come back. But guys, what do you think so far of Mania? I think Night 2 is completely better than Night 1, in my opinion. Especially with the last 2 matches, which we'll get to in a minute. Again, going back through the card, Night 2, I gave Drew and Seth a 4 star. I'm giving this a 2.5 star. LA Knight and AJ Styles, I'm giving a 3 star. And Logan Paul and Owens, I'm giving a 4 star. You guys stay hydrated.
Hey, I'm back. Sorry.
That's fine. I went through kind of the whole match all the way up to the ending with some spots,
Yeah,
but
I was hearing some of the highlights. So you were talking.
I do want to get your thoughts on who was behind the Prime Mask Bottle because I have no idea who this guy
No
is.
fucking clue who he was either. I had to Google. It was clearly meant for the younger audience that was follows streaming platforms. Pretty much the crowd that follows Logan Paul.
Mm-hmm.
So when I
So
heard
it
I
was a guy
sleep,
named I Show Speed.
I show speed. Okay, I kept hearing I sleep, where I'm like, yeah, I'm sleeping.
So this is kind of becoming a running joke of like who is behind the Prime bottle. I
Yeah.
kind of suspected it to be KSI to try to get revenge from the RKO he took.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. I'm like, KSI made so much more sense.
Mm-hmm.
But then I show speed. I'm going like, I'm sorry, grown ass man is not gonna know who he is. Clearly, you want the kids at home to know who this to get that pop. And the way they do it was just more of like, instead of just take it off and just go surprise, you know.
Dude, the barking was so weird. Why are you barking?
It must it's probably it's his thing, honestly. Which I saw a couple of
Oh
clips
my.
of him. I'm going, oh, him playing games or him doing stuff, and he does that barking. And then I just love that Randy. He's got so pissed off at the guy. He's like, seriously? And then he
Dude,
gets him with the
when I Show
RKO.
Speed when I Show Speed said we have a beef, Orton goes, "We have no beef. What are you talking about?"
Yes. And then Randy, who's just like, he had enough, knocks his ass down. He's like, fuck. I love him. He looks at the table. He's just like, fuck it. Just starts ripping off the headsets and everything again, and then brings them up. And I love he rips it off the guy, and then the dude changed his attitude, and he's just like, woo woo, and then does the RKO.
It's so stupid. It would have been so much better if it was KSI because at least that would have had a storyline reason as to why he's there.
Yeah. Also, I during this match I did message you. I'm like, when did the brass nuts become legal? And then you're telling me it's a no DQ triple threat match. I'm like, wait, when did WWE
No.
ever do
All,
that?
all triple threat matches in WWE are no DQ.
When did they do that?
Same with Fatal 4-Way matches.
No, like I said, when? Because it happened during the Thunderdome era? Because I remember seeing some triple threat matches that weren't DQ.
I don't know. They always change the rules, but I guess now triple threat matches are no DQ. Because even
Okay.
Corey Graves on commentary said, well, he can do that. It's no DQ. So, just, I wish WWE would keep their rules.
Well, no,
Straight.
not to keep the rules, but really communicate it out there. Not just
Yep.
have it change to where the announcing team has to dedicate 3 to 4 minutes to explain why these rules are set up, or
Mm.
like just they're just the best example last year SummerSlam, the tribal combat match between Jay and Roman. Nobody knew what the hell this meant. They just kept saying, "Oh, it's tribal combat. This is tribal combat. What do you expect? It's tribal combat." What the fuck does that mean? Tribal
Well,
combat.
it's just another name for no disqualification. Just say it.
Yes. Or at least put some at least with the Punjabi prison match, I know exactly what that is. But the tribal combat match, you left me with my jaw on the ground going, what?
So, going back through, I gave my rating for the Philadelphia Street Fight. I gave it a 2.5. I gave LA Knight and AJ Styles a 3-star, and then I give the triple threat a 4-star. I really enjoyed this match. Besides the fucking I Show Speed bullshit.
Well, the 6-man Philadelphia Street Fight, 2 stars. LA Knight and AJ, I will say 3 stars. And then this one, 3.5.
Okay, that's fair. All right, so let's move on to our co-main event
This
for the
one I'm
WWE Women's
looking
Championship.
forward
Io Sky, the champion, taking on the Royal Rumble winner, Bayley. I fucking love this match. This, hard to say because the main event was also really good. This might be my match of night 2.
This, I honestly, no, I'm gonna say without a doubt, this is my match of the night. I did, part of me, I enjoyed Bayley's entrance, although I'm a little disheartening that when she was being carried out, they didn't do it onto where she's being carried, because the whole thing with her thing with the role model, and also from some of her interests in the past, she dresses up like she's of Egyptian royalty, and it
Mm.
insulted me. In fact, Triple H, he likes to do stuff like that where he's being carried out on something. They didn't do that for Bailey. Like, have to like harken back into Egyptian history. With her, like what her costume was, like have her being carried out on with four men holding on, like her on a seat of a throne, being carried out by four men instead of being on four men's shoulders. Because the way they were sitting her down, though, those guys had to really be careful not to drop her. And honestly, it would have been like a great little spotlight moment on Bailey. I mean, it was still like there's still daylight or some like night happening, but like more spotlight on her, like just a little tidbit there. But even then, loved her outfit, was fantastic, and I love the look on Bailey's face as she's going down there. You really see this is her soaking in the moment. It is
Hmm.
heartbreaking though that earlier on in her career, leading up to it, Bailey tweeted out that she kind of would love to have Paramore perform, and Paramore was like, "Oh yes, we'd love to as well." But
That would be awesome.
yeah, but the problem was scheduling conflicts prevented them from
Hmm.
being there. But even then, they could have gotten more, like Paramore could have licensed a song, like they could have gotten a licensed song from Paramore to bring Bailey out.
What song by Paramore was Bailey hoping for them to
Oh, I would
perform?
need to find that tweet, or at least that post that she said it on. Honestly,
Hmm.
but even then, this was still a great entrance for Bailey. The role
Yeah.
model, like this is, and I do love the fact that role model thing of hers has not changed. Now
Mm-mm.
this time, I like this can really set her up to really live up to that moniker of the role model now.
Yeah, dude. Io's entrance was really good as well. It felt grandiose, which I love. I kind of wish that Io got the damage control night one inspired entrance. I think that would have worked better.
Possibly, yeah, it maybe, but it definitely felt like it fit more with
With Asuka
Kyrie
and
and Asuka. It felt more. It
mm,
fit more with those two than it would have with Io Sky.
yeah. So let me go through some of these moments real quick. Yeah, so it was pretty back and forth to begin with. Evenly matched for the first part. Each wrestler dominated quite a bit. Io showing her athletic ability and Bailey showing her veteran instincts. Highlights were Io with her signature moonsault from the top rope onto the outside, landing on Bailey. Io
Yeah,
would follow with a top rope missile drop kick, then hit the sunset flip. Then Bailey hit the sunset flip to Io onto the bottom turnbuckle. Io went for another moonsault, but this time Bailey was ready with her knees up as Bailey missed with a top rope elbow. Io countered. Bailey struggled as Io kept coming back with submission moves. However, when Io got up, Bailey hit her with the Bailey to Bailey, which we haven't seen that in a while, have we?
yeah, been a long time, and I didn't think it was going to end it that quickly. But I love the fact that she's pulling out something from her arsenal that she hadn't used in a while.
Mm-hmm. I love that. So yeah, Io kicks out. Um, Io capitalizes with another moonsault, but Bailey kicks out at two. After back-to-back counters, Bailey finally hits the Rose Plant and becomes the WWE
But, but,
Women's
but even then,
Champion.
before the Rose Plant, there were moments on in where Io really was truly getting very, very cocky, like really
Mm-hmm.
thinking that she was moved past Bailey, to where she was like yelling at Bailey, like, "Will you?" Oh no, that was in her promo, boy on him. But she was like almost screaming at Bailey that she was like almost. I would say she wasn't monologuing, but she was kind of being like she was losing focus. She
Yeah.
was losing focus on the point, like, "Hey, look, Io, you should be focused on winning, not punishing Bailey." To where Bailey had blocked where she blocked him over moonsaults, but then when Io Sky did that two or three more times, Bailey kicked out again, showing
Mm-hmm.
that Io's like you're losing focus in the moment. And then yeah, her counter for the Rose Plant I really liked. I liked
Oh
that.
yeah, her flipping out of the Rose Plant was awesome.
Yes, but even then, it was once again she was soaking too much of that moment into her, like
Mm-hmm.
she's showing off. That led to Bailey leading to that clothesline on her. To when she
And
did,
then the Rose Plant.
yeah. But first, it was like first it was that back suplex, and then that Saito suplex.
Back suplex, yes.
Yeah. Then came the elbow drop, and then the Rose plan. That
Mhm.
1, 2, 3 for her to become champion, which was
I
fantastic.
I'm gonna give this match a 5-star. I really love this match.
Uh, I would go 4.5. Honestly, like there's something there that I enjoy, but
Mhm.
it's not like that high in 5 stars. I don't know. Like I think Io Sky doing too much of the showing off. Okay, I think I may have found it. I think the song that she probably wanted to have used with Paramore, it's called "Looking Up."
I've never heard that one. I'm about to look that
I
one
think
up.
it's from their earlier era when Bailey was
Ooh, okay,
a fan.
nice. Like I'm a huge Paramore fan, so
Same here. I've been to a few of their concerts, and
I want to go to one of their concerts so bad, bro.
yeah, they are definitely worth it. They are worth being. Their performances are insane, and the fact that they're no longer under contract with Atlantic Records is fantastic. They can do
Hmm.
their own original stuff. They won't have to be held down or held back by anything anymore.
Yep. So you're giving it 4.5. I'm giving it a 5-star. Let's move on to our main event. Bloodline rules for the WWE Undisputed Universal Championship. Champion Roman Reigns takes on the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. I'll say, I love that this match, when it first starts, really does have a big fight feel to it. It feels like a Mania main event. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do.
Because, like, you have Roman, you have Cody, you have these kind of two forces. And I really love that the Bloodline didn't get involved right off the bat. They
No,
really let the match simmer and go, and then they finally started getting all the interference and shit.
like you really thought like with something called the Bloodlines rules match that they would interfere immediately, but nope,
Yeah.
they let it simmer, which is good, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, so it starts off with pretty much just them going kind of back and forth, really kind of a slow start. So again, some of the highlights: Reigns was dominating Rhodes until the American Nightmare turned things around with a super kick. Both men hit simultaneous clotheslines, knocking both down. Rhodes would then hit a power slam of his own, shades of his mentor Randy Orton. Rhodes would then follow up with a disaster kick. Reigns countered Rhodes' finisher with a crossroads. This was an insult to Cody. I love when Reigns hit the crossroads and Cody kicked out. He looked at Paul and goes, "Of course, that move never finishes anybody. I was just doing
Yeah,
it for the laughs."
he sucks. He's saying it sucks.
Um, Rhodes would then counter the Superman punch with a bionic elbow and a lot of headshots. Seemed like Rhodes had his sights on the announce desk, but Reigns hit him with a low blow. Reigns then hit a power bomb to Rhodes through the table, followed it with a Superman punch. However, Rhodes kicked out at 2. Reigns went for the spear, and Rhodes countered with a Cody cutter. This time, Reigns kicked out. As Reigns went for the rock bottom, Rhodes countered with an arm drag. The arm drag turned into a spear by Rhodes. This time, Rhodes, hitting Reigns' finisher. And then we have the interferences. As Rhodes goes for a double crossroads, Jimmy Uso super kicks Rhodes.
Yep.
Reigns hits a Superman punch, and then Jay gets involved. And my God, Jay battles with Jimmy up the ramp and then does a fucking spear off the ramp through a table.
Yeah. Like at first, because
Yeah.
there's no camera there, I literally thought he speared him onto the hard floor.
Yeah.
And then the camera
So
turns
did I.
and you do see the table. I'm like, man, you guys are insane.
Huh?
I'm like, those guys are insane.
Yeah. So Jay spins Jimmy off the stage. Reigns spears Cody, but he's able to kick out. Cody then spears Roman on the outside through the barricade. Rhodes hits 2 crossroads and then goes for a third time. And then Solo Sikoa gets involved, harkening back to WrestleMania 39.
Mm-hmm.
He hits Rhodes with the Samoan spike. And then Solo drags Roman on top, but Cody kicks out. Solo and Reigns ambushes Rhodes. They hit a spear and Samoan spike combo. And just when
He
it
kicks
seems like
out.
hope is lost, Cody kicks out. And then whose music hits? Wabadoo, John Cena.
This time people
Which
can
makes
see him.
they can see him, which makes so much sense with Solo being in the ring, because the last time we saw Cena, he was pretty much demolished by Solo Sikoa
Yep.
in Saudi Arabia. So Cena takes out Solo. He hits him with an AA through the table. He takes him out, the announce table. He takes him out. Then The Rock comes out to defend his cousin. There was an epic stare down between Rock and Cena, which also harkened back to Mania 29, where they were kind of looking at each other in the crowd.
29.
As he takes it, 28, yeah, 28 to 29.
Okay, they're both, yeah, both they're back to backs. Okay.
Yeah. As Rock, John Cena gets rock bottom by The Rock. As he takes his belt out, the Shield music hits, and at this point, I don't know if you thought the same thing, but I was like, is John Moxley fucking here? Because they waited so long to show Seth Rollins.
Well, I think because Seth was coming through the crowd, like it was going to be a sneak attack, so they kept their focus on the ramp, especially with that music playing. And then The Rock, focused on the ramp, so the whole thing was meant to be like, yeah, Seth's coming through the crowd. But also, I think because Seth had his wrestling match earlier in the night, I think maybe they're also trying to sell how he's still, hurt. Like he's still a little hurt.
Rollins in tactical gear is hilarious, harkening back to his days in the Shield. But he gets in the ring, he goes for an attack on The Rock, and he immediately just gets speared.
Oh, I think it was a Superman punch, wasn't it?
No, it was a spear.
Okay, yeah, sorry. Roman throws that out so many times. I'm like,
oh no, Reigns hits Rollins with a Superman punch. You're right. Sorry, my mind is just kind of scattered. And then when everything seems lost, the fucking Undertaker appears.
That was something.
Why? I don't know. Why not?
I mean, so many people thought it was going to be Stone Cold, honestly, that they thought.
That would make so much more sense if we're being honest.
But now that I'm thinking about it, though, well, not then, but then I was thinking about it after that moment happened. These are the people who came out are everyone who holds grudges against the Bloodline and Roman Reigns. Jay, because of the way he was treated by Roman. Cena, because of his history with Roman, and then, of course, how Solo destroyed him.
Oh!
Remember?
Roman, 33.
Exactly, yes. Every single one that has an issue with Roman Reigns. But also, the way that ended when Rock got taken out, how Roman, he had that chair in his hands, he could have ended Cody, but because he could not let go of his own hatred at Seth, he chose to do what Seth did to him with Plan B and hit him in the back.
They brought it up to Plan B, and Rollins fell the same way Reigns fell. I love that attention to detail.
Well, not yet. Yeah, exactly. And it's kind of amazing just how insane the insanity was when, of course, it didn't get the huge pop like it would have, but people still did that little freak out moment. So then it allowed Cody that opportunity to take him down, to take him out. Ugh.
Dude, so yeah, after that happens, the Undertaker comes out, choke slams The Rock, he's taken out. As you said, Reigns goes to try to hit Cody with the chair, turns his attention to Seth, and then Rhodes, while Reigns is distracted, finally hits the 3 crossroads that he was trying to hit this whole fucking time.
Yeah,
and 1, 2, 3. The over 1,000-day reign of Roman Reigns is over, and new undisputed WWE Universal Champion, the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes.
Yeah, but as I mentioned before, when we were talking about night 1 of our MVP of Samantha Irving, let's just say, well, you didn't see it on Peacock. Here was her reaction to Cody winning. While she had, look at the emotion on her face Yeah, look at that. That is just beautiful. I was trying to look for one for Sammy, but man, just seeing that this like she's really cemented herself as a top
The
ring
slight
announcer.
pause after she says "and you're new," and you can hear
Yes,
it in her voice. She cracked up a little bit. It was so good.
exactly. Like show it's one of these things why at times it's one of these things where you see that wrestling is more than just the match itself and the wrestlers, but it's
Mm.
also the moving parts on the outside, the commentary, the announcers, the camera angles. Like
Michael Cole on commentary after Cody wins, and you see the emotion after when Cody's doing his speech. He
oh
goes
yeah,
and hugs Cole. Oh, so
that
good.
that I mean Cody was really like and his mom coming in the ring as well. At first he's all like congratulating everybody around him. I mean, love the fact that Brandy was with him at his entrance and
Hmm.
then comes in the ring when he wins. And then he's hugging then his mom's like behind him. Like the joy he had when he saw her. Oh boy. Like that's a true feel good moment. Ugh.
So I don't normally do this. I'm gonna give this match 5 stars as well. I'm gonna give 2 5 stars for night 2. This match was and I think I said this to you. This match was everything I wanted in a match like this. You got callbacks, you got storylines, you've got really good in-ring wrestling, you've got just the emotion of Cody finally winning the title.
Yeah.
Um, and again, all the callbacks, the Plan B, the Jimmy and Jay getting involved, the Cena getting involved because of his rivalry with the Bloodline, the Taker coming out, going all the way back to Mania 33. Like you've got all these story threads that are. It seems like they're finally being centered here at this match.
And it is fantastic. It's one thing I do appreciate. Like when WWE really like, let's be honest. I was not sure how they were going to get this story right. Like
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't going to be like I was not interested in seeing Cody do this, but knowing that the fans for the whole year, I mean, regardless if it really was planned or not, they did that pivot. The fact that this moment was going to be robbed from them and the whole reaction itself. To me, the reaction said everything because then it's like, wait, we all spent an entire year with Cody not wrestling Roman, Cody not even wrestling for a championship to win the Royal Rumble back to back, to challenge The Rock and give it away. I mean, especially a week after he wins. So that's why I don't believe when Triple H said that they had to make changes. The fact it was in a week of the Rumble, a week after the Rumble that happened. I'm like, if this had happened sometime in the middle of February or maybe near the start of March, then I could believe the pivot change because then like they build all that time, then The Rock gets involved. Like I say, this is just for me. The fact that it was just maybe the fact that because they thought, oh, let's just rip the band-aid off right now and say Cody's not challenging. Nope. Guess what? That wound is still fresh, guys.
That's why I kind of believe the pivot story is because they really thought that The Rock coming in would be the match for Mania, which was him and Roman, which is the match that everyone wanted to see. But because of the swelling support for Cody, they had to make a pivot for this.
But you know, it's like honestly, it's here and there, and we can constantly keep speculating until the day is
Yeah.
like we're blue in the face. But as far as we go as an ending to the night 2 and to all of WrestleMania weekend, this really was the ending that WWE really needed. Because
Mm-hmm.
I was talking with some friends of mine on Messenger because we joked and said, "What if Roman retains?" And of course, one of them said that if Roman retains, be prepared for a real Philadelphia street fight. Roman's gonna need security to be escorted out. I
Oh
said
yeah.
I said the only way I can really believe a scenario that Cody wasn't going to win is that if Rollins and Jay betrayed him, Cody gets beat. Let me continue. Cody gets beaten down so badly by the Bloodline and by The Rock to where he can't kick out when Roman does takes the 3, and then they continue beating him down after the match, so Cody gets written off a storyline with an injury, and then he's gone for a couple of months. That, like I said, that's my only scenario to what I can believe, to how I can believe Cody doesn't win.
This was the right move, 100%. They needed to have Cody win, especially since they put in which I think a lot of people overlooked, that Roman and Rock said if Cody didn't win here, it was his last time challenging for the title.
Yeah.
By the way, have you noticed that they're not calling it the Universal Championship anymore? They're just calling it the Undisputed WWE Championship.
No, I still heard Universal, at least on night 1.
Oh, yeah, maybe on night 1, but both times that Samantha Irving announced the title, it was the Undisputed WWE Championship. So I wonder if they're just going to call this the Undisputed WWE Championship and then call it the World Heavyweight Championship and then just have that be cleaner.
Well, let's hope so. I mean, because it was already a mouthful in the beginning when Roman, like, the Undisputed Universal WWE Champion. I'm like, that's too much. It could have just been an Undisputed title or a Universal Championship, you know?
Mm-hmm. But speaking of this, I got 2 questions before we head out because we are kind of 2 hours in. 1, does Cody come out with a kind of new winged eagle design that I keep hearing people talk about? Or is he going to keep the current title design?
I don't know. I think, honestly, I kind of would prefer Cody to bring a classic design back. Mm-hmm. Really, not only that, but to show that, not show anything, but also to really be all about prestige and to really cement his title reign by having a title design of his choosing.
Mm-hmm. But also, that would also work with Cody's character, because remember when he was IC champion back in the day, he won the IC title and he brought back the old white strapped IC title that paid homage to the old school IC champions. So he could do the same thing with the world title. And 2, do you think that during the draft, Damian Priest is going to get drafted over to SmackDown and Cody Rhodes is going to stay on Raw? That's my theory, is that they want Cody on Raw as their main champion because with the Netflix move in 2025, they want a bigger, more recognizable name on Raw. And you treat Raw as like where your big name stars are, but SmackDown is where the up and coming stars, the young talent, people like that, like kind of old school SmackDown, where like the SmackDown 6 and shit, where you really build SmackDown as like the workhorse.
I'm kind of hoping, because I want to see some differential between both brands, because clearly the fact that superstars are staying on brands is not sticking. The fact that Judgment Day and Bloodline are able to easily jump brands, same with Legado del Fantasma. That's the one problem I constantly see when, especially in these new eras, like when either with Vince or, I mean, at least, well, during the new era, when it was at the time when Bryan Danielson was a general manager, at least wrestlers stayed on those brands. But of course, that didn't matter anymore. And we thought with Triple H involved, okay, we're going to do that. Keep wrestlers on certain brands. Maybe at the time, the Undisputed Tag Champions can jump brands because they're holding red and blue colored belts. So maybe this will be like wrestlers will stay on each other's brands. But Cody being a Raw wrestler holding the Undisputed WWE Championship, it is saying to where, will he be going on SmackDown permanently?
I don't think so. I think when the draft comes, I think Cody will get drafted to Raw, and I think Priest will be on SmackDown, because I also think if you have Priest on SmackDown, that will allow him to prove himself as world champion, where you can put him up against, younger talent. You can put him up against people who are, viable contenders, um, and you can make those matches and storylines more work rate. Because Damian Priest can go in the ring. It's just his character work that needs a little bit of work. And I think he can definitely work on that on SmackDown, where he.
Sadly, he was getting some good character work underneath the Truth angle.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Um,
But we will see.
but also, with them splitting up the tag belts, this kind of tells me that they are going to keep the draft as strict as possible.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you would have to because you now have sets of titles on each brand that are viable options. So I want to see them do a full draft and keep it. Go old school 2002 2003 SmackDown where like no one can cross over except on pay-per-views, and you make all the stories on them equally matter. So the world title on SmackDown, make the stories the same way as they do on Raw with the undisputed title.
Well,
and I think that's what Triple H is going to do because he's used to doing a draft like that. He was around when the first draft happened. All right, so I think that's all we got to talk about.
yeah, that's honestly that's everything. I'll be honest. Both nights have kind of exhausted me, but then also watching Ring of Honor was also a little draining, and then also seeing some of these small independent stuff that was showing on Thriller TV. So I'm kind of full on.
Oh, so overall, what would you give a rating of WrestleMania 40 as a whole? Let's say out of 10.
Well, I'll say actually I was going to split it apart. Night one, outside of the Uso match, it gets an A minus.
Okay.
I mean, A minus maybe slightly going into a B plus because of the Uso match. Night two was a little better, but I don't know if it fits along the end because there was a few more matches that were sour along. I mean, the 6-man match. Although, even though I wasn't paying, even though I was going back and forth in the bathroom, I'm not gonna. It's actually no. I think this one will also get an A minus as well. No, wait, no, never mind. The time length of the tag of the Rocket Roman tag match that kind of took it away. So night one gets a B plus, night two gets an A minus.
So night one, I'm gonna give a B minus.
Mm-hmm.
Only because I didn't really like the Jimmy and Jay match, and I hated the 6-woman tag match. And then Cody and Roman, the tag match went a little too long. But night two, I'm giving it an A minus. I think every match, maybe besides the 6-man tag, was good or great. And you had 2 5-star matches, in my opinion, at the end of the night with Bayley and Io, and then the Bloodline Rules match. And I love Drew versus Seth. I think that match was a really good opener.
Yeah.
So I'm giving night two an A minus, and I'm giving night one a B minus.
Okay.
All right, guys. Ryan, before we head out, where can we find you online?
Well, if you guys get some enjoyment from my tangents, you guys can find me I have a podcast called Wrestling Ramblings and Rages Podcast. I co-host with my friend James Shimo and our occasional collaborator Bretton McPherson. It is available on Google Podcast.
Did we lose him? I think we lost Ryan. Hello? You gotta love when technical issues happen. Dream. Let me see if he can. I'm checking on Ryan right now to see if his internet connection is good. So he said, light crashed into my computer. It froze. So yes, check out his podcast on Spotify, on Apple Music, on Stitcher, on pretty much anywhere that podcast can be found. That is the Wrestling, Rager, and Rambling. I believe I said that correctly. Podcast. It's part of the Shimo network. So go ahead and check that out. Guys, if you did enjoy this, please hit that like button, subscribe to the Nerd Entertainment Network down below. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you guys soon. Have a good night. Peace.